Welcome back, everybody. The round 4 games of the Magnus Carlsen Invitational are about to begin. We have Magnus Carlsen versus Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, big matchup. And we have Caruana against Alireza Firouzja. Before we get to the matches, let's say thank you to International Master Tanya Sachdev, who joined me for this pre-show. Thank you, Tanya. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Jan, and enjoy the commentary. I'm going to be enjoying the games and watching you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime on the show. If you ever get bored or if you feel Svidler is being too chessy, just chime in. You know where to find us.
Please do.
Speaking of Svidler, 8-time Russian champion, Super Grandmaster, winner of the prestigious Pepe Cuenca International Invitational, Peter Svidler is joining us to take us through the action. Peter, it's just you and I. It's like the old days. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's very upsetting. Who are we? I mean, losing Tanya is heartbreaking, but without Lawrence, I have a feeling you will turn on me, and I might not enjoy that.
I've turned on you a long time ago, but we have bigger fish to fry, which is the game Magnus Carlsen versus MVL, where Magnus Carlsen, after knight f6, the so-called starting position of the Sicilian, has just played the move bishop to c4 instead of knight to c3. What say you?
I am very confused, but I guess as MVL instantly replies e6, you can transpose. I assume he just continues not defending the pawn on e4.
Yeah,
this is is this a typo question is sort of echoing stronger and stronger in my head as we go on, but probably isn't, right? It's very difficult to have a DGT board malfunction when there's no DGT boards.
The horsey. So just to explain, everyone and their dog is playing knight c3 in this position, after which a6 is what MVL usually does, the so-called Najdorf. And millions, maybe not millions, but thousands of games have started like this. Sometimes white dabbles with f3. That is what Magnus has done in the past. But bishop c4, to me, is pretty much unheard of. And yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen this. And I mean, the first things first. I assume knight takes e4, white goes bishop takes f7, but I'm not even entirely sure about that. I also
h5, queen f3, bishop f7. There has to be some reason for this.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can play just for tempi, but I think this wins the piece back. I'm just not at all sure winning the piece back here gives white such a great game. I wasn't even sure about g6. I also thought maybe king g8, queen g5, e6 was playable, because I don't think you can take on e6 there. So once again, you win the knight back. I play some kind of a developing move here. I don't know, maybe even knight c6 is playable here. But obviously Magnus knows something, and also MVL chose to, I assume, trust him, because I honestly would really be shocked if MVL ever looked at this.
So he just playing this his whole life. He might have come across this, but I certainly haven't.
Well, I've never, up until 2 minutes ago, I did not know this move existed. So as Garry Kasparov famously, obviously not about, like, it applies much more to Garry than it does to me. But when I played the third move c3 against his attempt to play the Najdorf against me in Tilburg 97, he famously after the game said, "If we start looking at 3c3, we will never have any work done." And I think this very much applies to 5 bishop c4. Like, even if you might guess this move exists, why would you ever spend any time on it? And
there is some method to the madness, though. MVL reacts normally with e6 castles, bishop e7, and now a very funny looking move. But I think I get the point. Instead of going knight c3 or rook e1 or some normal move, he plays bishop to d3, delayed. Not only does he move this bishop again, he also refuses to develop the knight, and he's now preparing to put his pawn on c4, so-called Marozzi bind.
Yeah, he's trying to get a position you normally get, I think, out of the Paulsens, where 5 bishop d3 is like the e6 a6 Paulsens are very much the home for this structure. Bishop d3, knight f6, castles, let's say d6 c4. But obviously,
your tempo up. But
but in the game, Magnus would have had exactly this position, having lost a full tempo, which I assume means even this is perfectly playable, because honestly, you have to prove you're better here in the Carlsen. But MVL also decides not to give him the satisfaction and goes knight c6, move 7.
Because one thought that comes to mind is, why not go bishop d3 if you want to do that?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Maybe he doesn't like e5 or knight c6 straight away.
Because e5 we could do anyway, but here I guess you can fianchetto this bishop. And Magnus waited for the bishop to come to e7, and now he went for this bishop d3 move. So I'm not sure how serious this is, but it's certainly new and fun. And this structure is serious. This you get from all kinds of different move orders openings. It's not so simple for that. e5 on the board, bishop to e3. Actually,
this looks very similar to some positions I've seen in my life, but I assume, once again, I can't exactly recall which line they appear in, but this is not an unheard of structure.
So, for example, this line, which is something Magnus played quite a bit as well in a previous, I think in the World Rapid and Blitz, he played this quite a bit.
Yeah, that's actually a very good shout. Yeah, exactly like this.
This is very close to what they got now.
The bishop doesn't always return all the way back to e7, so there are obviously some minute differences. But white is doing a very similar thing, or maybe even exactly the same thing that Magnus is doing right now. And the thing about MVL's response is, I don't want to say he's worse. I suspect he isn't if he plays properly, but he did give Magnus more or less exactly, I assume, what Magnus wanted out of the opening here. A perfectly playable position, kind of complicated strategic struggle where white definitely has his own trumps. The plans for white, I guess, like you almost always, if you have time for that, go rook fd1, rook ac1. This, I don't think, can ever be bad. It's just a question of whether you have sort of more pressing things to do or not. And then I guess before b5 becomes a potentially interesting strategic idea, just generally gaining space on the queen side. And MVL plays knight d7, which I think is also very sensible. It kind of hints at the idea of playing bishop g5, which you might want to stop with white by playing rook fd1, because now after bishop g5 you have very seriously have to calculate whether you're losing the d6 pawn or not. You might be. As far as I can tell, it could very well be the case that you lose the pawn on d6 after, let's say, takes bishop c2.
Anyway, the position has stabilized. They are entering into a bit of a maneuvering phase. We'll, of course, get back to it, but let's briefly check in with our second game. Alireza Firouzja, the 16-year-old phenom with the white pieces against Fabiano Caruana, who, I'm not sure if he was a 16-year-old phenom in his day. I played him when he was 16, and he was like 2.620, 2.630 in our lingo, which is great, but not Alireza level, who's already 2,700 plus.
Yeah,
I think 1 or 2 years later, he was proper scary.
No, but I think even at 16, you could kind of see that this will be a very, very good chess player, although maybe you weren't as scared just yet. I think I already started losing games to him at about that age. So for me, he was a very difficult opponent from the very beginning.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say that he was horrible at that age, just that Alireza is historically still ahead of Fabiano. But Fabiano nowadays, I would guess, he's even established as the second best player in the world, isn't he? Like with slow time controls. Is that fair?
I would think so. I think he edges out Ding Liren in current ranking, and I think he has definitely done more than Ding Liren historically. Like if you take their entire careers, I think Fabi's stacks up better than Ding Liren's.
Fabi won 7 games in a row in the Sinquefield Cup, one of the strongest tournaments on earth. Back in whenever that was, 2013, 14, 14.
14, I want to say, yeah.
And we have a sharp opening in the Slav, Queen C2.
Yeah,
DC.
Anytime I see something like this, I want instantly to call it the Dubov influence, but maybe this one hasn't actually been created by Dubov.
So how much influence does Dubov have on
A
Alireza?
tremendous amount.
Okay.
In all areas of life. But
Yeah, I just meant I wasn't aware there was a Dubov Alireza partnership.
No, obviously not. But I meant in spirit. I did not want to suggest that they looked at this together, but I meant that like taking a very quiet Slav and then just completely refusing to win back the material and playing for compensations straight away is, I think, something that Daniil has tried doing in just about every single position. So
yeah, he's played quite a bit of this line, I think. Even.
Yeah, I think this one definitely is kind of his, whereas the one we see on the board right now. Yeah, and I just got confirmation in one of my messaging services by the man, the legend himself, saying that he played this a couple of times even. So of course it's his.
Okay.
Very nice to instantly have confirmation from the DD himself.
I've seen this before. Usually white throws in some bishop d2, I believe, going after these squares, and black plays a5, at least something along these lines I've seen. But Alireza plays rook d1 directly, probably doesn't feel the need for this bishop d2. Fabi goes h6, preparing to castle.
Exactly, and knight c3, a6. For now, Fabi just continues making sure nothing is hanging. For me, always, whenever I look at positions like this, I understand white has tremendous positional compensation to begin with, but black hasn't really made any weaknesses. My sort of initial feeling is always this has to be fantastic for black. There's no way there's enough here for white. And then whenever I try to analyze them more, I think in the World Blitz, I don't know, maybe in the World Rapid last year, I played some kind of a position like this against David Paravan, and I was just completely lost by move 15. Not this position, but a position similar in spirit. And I also, once again, I began by feeling, a piece goes to a square, and then yet another common sense move, and then eventually I will just be a healthy pawn up. And by move 15, I thought, okay, how do I make it to move 20?
So what should white do? Black is a pawn up. How does white continue? Do you play e5?
Yeah, here it's actually it's confusing me a little bit, because I think a6 in particular is aimed at making d5 as much of a non-topic as possible, so that b5 never hangs in any variation, so that after d5 we can take with the c pawn and then start taking with pieces, and the pawn on b5 is safe. And black, I think, is not really even hurrying to castle. I think knight bd7 followed by maybe even rook c8 next move might be what black wants to do. And I still don't quite know what we're supposed to aim for with white. Sometimes they go for some kind of slow plans with knight e5, f4, g4. But I think rook d1 is kind of counterintuitive for those. e5, knight d5 gives black, well, a very nice outpost for this knight. Knight e4 doesn't really win anything else.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Even though
I still feel this is probably the way to go.
Yeah.
Some version of this at least. But yeah, it's not clear to me exactly where.
If we take the bishop, maybe there is some hope. We can fight for these dark squares, but how much it is, how great, not sure.
Yeah, and
Alireza says, you know what? I worry about nothing. I'll play pawn to h3. But he has taken quite a bit of time, and this does not look like it's refuting black's opening somehow.
Yeah, h3 doesn't really feel, strictly speaking, necessary. And I got some more all important info. Apparently, the plan here is to play queen e2, bishop g2, wait for black to finally castle, and then we play e5, queen e4, and we give mate. So we play a waiting game for quite some time, and eventually we assume that black will lose patience and castle into what immediately will become a mating attack.
What if black doesn't? What if he plays rook c8, c5?
Yeah, I don't know.
Mr. Dubov, teach us.
Yeah, I think we're not doing it. We're not doing this properly. We should, we should be availing ourselves of his expertise by, less by text and more. more by voice whenever possible. And in the clash of the strange Sicilians, it seems like MVL has done all the right things, but he's still slightly worse, right, in the final position on the board right now.
So far, so good, as we talked about, and MVL decides to simplify a little. White can build a pass pawn here if he so chooses, but Magnus plays quieter with rook b1, knight to f6. Now he's going for
I think
d5.
he wanted to make all the necessary moves first, and now after h3, MVL pushes d5, which is something you normally do. But the issue is White just takes everything, goes b4, b5, and this is still not equal. Not by a long shot, honestly, I suspect, unless e5, e4 just makes an immediate draw, which it might. If you imagine this pawn, let's say, reaching b6, this is just going to be very, very awkward for black. And we have to make note of the move bishop takes h7 here, which is cute, but actually leads to an immediate draw, I think. Queen d3 check, or maybe not. Actually, queen takes d5, because I think maybe you cannot take with the rook here because of queen a8 check.
It's a trick.
Well, I take and I go queen e4 check here.
Ah, there we are.
And I wanted to stop bishop f8 specifically. I'm giving the check first so that you don't have the bishop f8 move, because now I will take on b4 and the bishop is pinned. But I suspect, yeah, but I suspect you can take on b4 with the bishop on move 25. And this
That's why
fall.
Magnus is thinking, eh? He must be considering this option.
I think he's probably trying to figure out if there is some finesse there somewhere. But it does look like bishop takes b4 probably holds. And also he needs to calculate b5, e4, because if e4 works, it solves, I would assume, most of black's problems. So you also have moves like queen e2, g4 here, which you generally don't want to make because it makes your position feel a bit shaky. The pawn really needs to be protected by the bishop here. You don't want it on b4 where it's not fully under control. But yeah, as mentioned more than once by this point, you do need to calculate some sharp stuff before b5 here.
I'm studying the players. Magnus in deep thought, but he's cleaned up for today. Crisp white shirt and looks very fresh. Maxime also with the white shirt, with a longer beard there, sitting in front of his window, was just eating, and now is back to looking at the position, but seems very relaxed, the French number one, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Ain't worried about nothing. And Magnus has played b5, decided bishop h7 is not enough.
Yeah, after e4, I suspect we might. I was trying to calculate b6, but I guess e takes d3 actually works out for black. bc, rook b1, king h2, and we can just take on e2, c8, bishop f8, and there's no mate, and then that pawn. Hang on a second, maybe there is mate. Yeah, bishop c5, h6, I assume, queen f8, king h7. Maybe bishop f8. Such a weird position. Because here after bishop b4, I guess, if all else fails, we can probably just play e1 and it should be a draw.
You must suffer, though.
Yeah, unless we lose some material instantly, because obviously we're not coordinated just yet.
Anyway, that's pretty far from the current position, but
yeah,
fun
yeah,
line after e4.
I don't know if any of this is forced, but it might be a little bit relevant. My point about e5, e4 here is that if you just play bishop c2, which would be the normal move in the position, I think bishop c4 might just be trading. Oh no, then we can play b6 maybe. Yeah, I mean, then we just don't need any of this. We just play bishop c2 quietly, and I suspect we're actually quite happy if black limits his own bishop by playing e4.
Lawrence Trent, late vindication in the chat. Fish45 is saying, where's Trent to stir the pot? There you go. Can't please people. Trent there, people not happy. Trent not there, people also not happy. But Trent will be back tomorrow, we promise, or we threaten, depending on your perspective.
And in the other game, Fabi is doing his best impression of the late great Tigran Petrosyan by playing rook c4 whenever the c file got opened. It does feel like what Alireza has done, like it cannot possibly be the most critical way of playing this position. White still has compensation because it's difficult for black to castle kingside because you will always be running into bishop takes h6. But the position is so close that I think you're quite happy just keeping it on e8 and not doing anything, and that's what Fabi is currently engaged in.
I like this move, knight to b8.
Yeah.
That is stupid on b7, so want to bring it to a nicer square. Knight on b4.
Yeah. Alireza says, I would like to stop that, goes b3, b4, and the rook instantly appears on c4. This is a very typical exchange sacrifice. There was also definitely an argument for knight d7, knight b6, and knight c4, but it's difficult not to make this move. It's just so pleasing aesthetically, I think, to play these exchange sacrifices.
Classically trained guys like Fabian Caruana, they grew up with chess books that have all these diagrams of games of the late great world champion Tigran Petrosyan, you mentioned, playing this move, rook to c4, and offering up the exchange of rook for the bishop, but you get a powerful pass pawn in return. You free this guy. Looks like black is much better here, frankly.
I think so, and Alireza in response also demonstrates that he probably had seen those books or some similar books at some point in his chess development, because he, without too much thought, just refuses to engage. I'm a little bit surprised Fabi did not spend more time considering knight c6 here, which I suspect actually forces white to accept the sacrifice. And I guess he didn't like that Alireza will have d5 there after taking after takes, because obviously by playing knight c6 there we would have closed down our own bishop on b7. So he goes for a slower maneuver. He goes knight d7, and Alireza will now play. He's already played knight e1, knight b6. Honestly, I expected bishop f1 here. I'm slightly surprised by this move queen e2 that Alireza just played.
He's a young gun. He's 16. He wants to checkmate, not your old man chess. Bishop f1, knight d3, knight c5. Go for the king, Alireza.
Yeah, but the king will be on d7 most likely. There's not going to be much to hunt on the king side in a. Yeah.
And as I'm sure you've heard, if you come for the king, you better not miss.
I'm a bit surprised by Fabi's decision, though. Fabi has taken on b4, and now Alireza will take, play bishop takes b5. And
I should also explain that in Peter lingo, who's very polite, if you're saying, I'm a bit surprised, you mean, this is a horrible, idiotic move, right?
Not exactly, but he was a pawn up, and I didn't think he was under much pressure. He will still be, I think he goes king f8 here, probably.
But
and he's still
bungled his advantage. I don't get it this at all. Takes.
Yeah, but he gives back his extra pawn, and yes, I suspect if the king was already safe and the rook was already on f8, you probably in these positions, if anyone is better, it's probably black. But with the king on f8, like we take, knight c4, knight d3, I don't know. White is
fine for white here.
Yeah, white is definitely not worse and might be better. Yeah.
Has he missed bishop b5?
Yeah, but that would be a bit of a shocking miss. If he actually missed bishop takes b5 check, that is honestly a bit shocking, because queen e2 was kind of hinting at that very, very heavily. And it's really unlike Fabi to miss a two-move tactic like that.
Also, Fabi, haven't you heard this? Monsieur Alireza is pretty gifted tactician. Maybe he didn't like his position. Maybe he thought castles, queen g4. This gets dangerous, so I better do something fast.
It's not impossible. Yeah, maybe I just overestimated how pleasant this is. And this once sort of brings me once again to the point that he could have played knight c6 earlier. He goes knight d7, but in particular, if this knight is not headed towards the c4 square, white is completely fine after bishop a6.
Yeah, I think he's trying to equalize. No, take, maybe even take on e1.
I think you take on e1 and you castle. Yeah.
Castle.
And
probably
here, here if the knight actually is on c4, once again, black is maybe even slightly better. But we play rook b1 instantly here, and
not happening.
Yeah, and start fighting for squares, and just very, very level.
All right, equal. Let's go to the world #1 against the world number 2 in rapid chess, which is what they're playing. What are the 3 categories? It's classical chess is everything with more than an hour to start the game. What's the cutoff there?
There's definitely a very, very precise definition of what constitutes classical and what can no longer officially constitute classical, but
I don't know it either. Didn't mean to put you on the
yeah,
spot.
I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure I've seen it at some point in my life, but I honestly just can't remember.
Basically, classical long chess, this is rapid, this is medium chess, and then there's blitz, which is very fast chess. And we have different world rankings for all these things.
Yeah, Queen h5 is a bit of a strange one to me because, well, I guess he just wants to play bishop f1. Maybe not that strange. I think if it works out tactically, that e takes d3 is not great, and black can never really justify actually playing e d3. Then he wants to play bishop f1 next move, making sure that his bishops are on the best 2 diagonals here to support the march of the b5 pawn towards the queening square. So makes perfect positional sense. I'm just it's difficult for me to calculate on the fly, but I would be very interested in trying to find a forced draw after e d3. Don't see it yet though. Queen d5. I think rook d8, b6 is probably very strong, and it does feel like sort of white is very much. Queen b6 I completely missed. Yeah, that's very strong. Okay, if b6 is not a move, then maybe it's not that bad for black, because I am playing d2 next move. And I'm hoping to distract you with it enough so that it will be not that easy to get too much going for.
This is on the board.
Yeah, and we did get clarification on the classical control question. Anything above an hour per player, counting increments when it's for 40 moves, is supposedly classical, which does sound very.
That's what I thought. Yeah, although you almost never see it played in practice, it's almost always 90 minutes. But I thought it was more than an hour.
Yeah.
Oops. I'm reading Fabi blundered the advantage, which possibly means the computers were also on Fabi's side here. And after knight d7, Alireza not content to take on a6, but he goes knight d3. What's that about? Caruana takes on b5. I was wondering why he couldn't keep the bishop, but he decides to take on b5.
Yeah, it's this whole sequence is confusing me quite a bit because I just couldn't really see. I just couldn't really see why we wouldn't be keeping the pawn. I guess he just wants to.
Does he want queen b6 now? Yeah, queen b6 played. Caruana's playing very defensively here, trying to equalize from a position that looked good. And on the clock, Alireza, if this is correct, down to 2 minutes indeed. They now have what we call opposite color bishops, which usually have a strong drawing tendency, especially once the queens disappear. I don't believe that white can create an attack here, in which case his bishop would come in handy. But if anybody's better, it's white. No, black can never be better.
Not really, no. Unless you somehow give black like 5 tempi to teleport the bishop from b7 to e4, and then get some rook a8, a2, and yeah, the way the pieces are positioned, I think black is still fighting for equality. And rook a1 is actually an annoying move to face, making it as difficult as possible for this bishop to get to any decent squares. Maybe goes queen b6. There was maybe some argument for actually sort of going full passive and playing rook a8, because we do have queen f8 there in the end. But queen b6 is still fine, yeah. Also hints
Looks like Fabi is going to great lengths to, defend this position, which didn't seem necessary, but it feels like he will succeed. World champion Carlsen has played queen to e4.
That's a clever square, because after d2, rook d1, it's actually very difficult for black to keep the pawn on d2 alive. MVL goes bishop f8, but playing bishop f8 here gives white a golden opportunity to start pushing his own agenda. And I mean, not playing b6 is very difficult. Yeah, he has played b6, b6, queen c2. This now looks like it might just be bad for black if white plays precisely.
How should he precisely play?
Rook b5 for some reason looks interesting to me, but I don't know if it's good, because currently your d pawn is pinned, and if you play d2, I mean queen d1 check and d2, there I think rook d5 probably wins on the spot. But my bigger issue there was that I think by playing rook b5, I don't create a threat of rook d5, because I think rook d5 runs into rook queen c6. So maybe black can spend this tempo on something sensible, but I don't know what sensible move can black even make in this position. I think the threat is not even rook d5, it's b7. And
Magnus
black is
leaning back.
Yeah, black is I think in quite some trouble here. The usual disclaimer, of course, applies. We're doing this unplugged, so rook b5 might be like 5th best move in the position very easily.
I think we can count this as an apology, even though today is a bad game for maybe not a bad game, but a bad day for the drinking game, as we don't have, the usual elements. Still, drink.
Yeah. Alireza has sort of...
played.
Yeah, rook c1 played instead, which I didn't like as much, because I thought it allows something like queen b3, and queen b3 reestablishes the threat of d2 and also keeps an eye on the b pawn. And the combination of those factors seemed like it's favoring black. I really... b7, I thought maybe I can even play rook b8. Unless I'm losing to rook c8, as I now suspect I might be, yeah? Yeah, this is just...
scary, no?
Guess this is just winning, because, yeah, we have to take with the queen. Takes, bishop c5, I have to spend the tempo on h6 or something. And then rook f8, and very importantly, instantly rook d8, and the game is completely over. Oh yeah, then that would be a problem then, because after b7, let's calculate b7 d2, but I have a feeling it's not going to work out. Takes,
we'll somehow win.
Takes, rook c8. Takes, rook c8. It's not even rocket science here, because there are really no checks or, frankly, any counterplay of any kind.
Yeah, doesn't work. So, Mr. Magnus, still asking some questions. And MVL, all of a sudden, in deep thought, looks very scared. Maybe he missed some detail. Maybe one of these lines we just looked at as well. Does seem super focused.
Does queen b2 improve anything at all for black? Because after b7, d2, we will have the option of taking on d2 with the queen, which could be relevant, actually.
If rook d1, rook b8, you're saying...
Yeah, that's an improvement, I think. That's
I was wondering if here I can shuffle, but no, you got d1 queen.
I got d1, rook takes b7, maybe is even stronger. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I think you might still be winning after bishop takes d2, but he's played queen b3, which is surprising me a little bit, because there I don't quite see what we blundered. It feels to me that, whoa, okay, we clearly
blitzed out.
We clearly did blunder something, because b7 has been rejected very, very... Maybe b7 f5.
Really?
Yeah. Because everything else looks horrible, and this might save us somehow.
Who knows? Queen c4 takes, and you maybe in time.
Yeah, who knows? But queen f3 seems very slow somehow. d2, rook d1 played, but now white is not threatening to take on d2, because obviously giving up on b6 will forego all of his advantage, and MVL feels comfortable finally making a luft for the king. And unless something like Queen E2 is winning here, I no longer really see how we make much of a progress. And after Queen E2, I suspect Black can even play something like Bishop B4 because, you know, his passer is now more advanced than the white one.
Maxime using that textbook tenacity that he picked up in his formative years in the French School of Suffering. Looks like he will once again survive.
Yeah, it does feel like he's getting away with it here, unless I'm missing something very dramatic. I just don't see what. I think the passers just end up getting exchanged one for another. Maybe even right now.
Now Magnus, well, he looks very focused, but he also no longer looks as confident as a minute ago. These are, I guess, obviously two of the very best calculators in the world. Maxime is well known to be an excellent calculator, and Magnus is well known for being pretty good at everything.
Yeah. And Alireza now, I think, set up a very devilish trap, which might not work. But right now, if Black plays Queen F1, which is arguably the most aggressive way of creating counterplay, there is Queen F8 check.
Yeah.
But you can still play King H7 is what is kind of bothering me here, because I don't quite understand. Bishop F6, I think Black, with Queen G1 and Rook B3 check, Black is at the very least not risking anything, I want to say. F3, Rook F3, I'm pretty sure I will give a perpetual there, at least. Probably at most as well, but it's hard for me to imagine I'm losing this position. Bishop B4 check, and you have to run towards E2, and these positions generally end up being draws. But
cute shot though, Queen F8 check.
Yeah, Queen F8 check is a very, very cute shot, because you obviously need to save. You want to be playing specifically Bishop F6 as early as possible, because Bishop F6 creates mating threats, and Queen F8, Rook C8 creates also a mating threat, but the one which is a lot easier to parry.
Let's say you play this. Bad move for many reasons, but boom.
Yeah.
No, this is probably just mate.
Oh, here Queen takes E7, G3 anyway. You might even be doing okay here. I don't know if you've seen the Queen takes E7 as a check, but it might be. But it might just be a Rook H1 does not. Yeah, I think it's still very comfortably winning for white. Oh, hang on, Rook H1 before King G6, you have to calculate. So probably there is a cleaner solution. But yeah,
in the meantime, in Carlsen against MVL, we are headed for a draw. They have exchanged their respective passes, and now it's just about making a bunch of moves at this level. This game will end in no time.
Yeah, and Magnus, you know, in his signature fashion, he actually made quite a bit of positional progress. The problem for him is that 3 against 3 on one side is so unbelievably equal to begin with that no matter how many pawns of your opponent you actually fix on the wrong squares and so on, you're still not winning this.
And this to Maxime.
Yeah,
is literally a joke, even though this might be the worst position you could possibly get from, let's say, this starting point. So I'm a bit surprised that it got this far. Still.
Yeah, it's curious, but it's still very, very, very equal, of course, and there's just no plan that gives white any kind of progress. And yeah,
they're repeating moves now. Yeah,
they are now
draw agreed there. Let's see the reaction of the players if Magnus will throw a mouse or do something along these lines. I guess not. Nah, just looks.
And Fabi, after quite some thought, made a very peculiar move in that position, Bishop H5, which actually says, yes, I think your setup is very clever, and I will be trying to replicate it with ideas of Queen F1. And I think the most important detail about this is in the lines we were discussing. If Black achieves Queen F1, Queen G1 plans, White needs to go King G3 there, and then Rook B3 with the Bishop on H5 probably leads to mate, because we will have F3, Rook takes F3 mate. And it seems like Alireza was also very, very down on the clock, so he instantly repeats with queen c2 check, queen c5, and now Fabi will once again consider if he has anything stronger.
So we think it's black playing for a win, yeah?
Hard to say, but I mean,
there wasn't really a repetition by Alireza. He forced this king to h7. I'm confused.
Yeah, and the second time of asking, Fabi actually goes queen f1.
Yeah. No. Alireza's down to seconds, literally.
Yeah, so this actually looks very, very dangerous for him because it's not that easy to generate threats, and black definitely already generated a threat here. He goes bishop f6, but Fabi will not blunder rook h8 check here. The important trick here is not to blunder bishop f8, rook h8 mate, but that's not happening, and I assume something like bishop e4 probably is just winning now for black with the idea of playing king g6 there.
Are you wrong?
This is
sometimes there's this, but here after gh, it's not even a check. So,
so Fabi wins this game.
This escalated quickly, and it's over after bishop e4. Alireza resigns. Now we see him on camera. He's talking. I don't know. I guess to himself, he does not look happy.
Yeah, very understandable because clearly, starting from somewhere around move 30, if he doesn't push for a win, he never loses there. But he tried to create something out of nothing, and it backfired kind of badly.
Yep, looks like they're showing us and not the players. Alireza left the board in disgust. So Fabian Caruana takes the lead in this matchup. And Alireza continues to have a tough time. He has not won a single match yet. And being down 1-0 and having 2 black games coming does not really look good for him today either, does it? That was a question you're supposed to say, something like, yes, Jan, you're right. Excellent analysis. Winning.
You're absolutely correct. Yes.
Thank you. In the other game, in Carlsen versus Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, Carlsen put some pressure, but MVL, slippery as he is, escaped. And we've seen Magnus enjoys his troll openings. He's played the Alekhine in this tournament and so on. But this, I'm not even sure if it's a troll, but it's literally something I've never seen before that might be quite interesting. So 5 bishop c4 against a Sicilian. It's very funny. Usually they defend this pawn, and black plays a6. And now, well, I've drawn my arrows about all the million moves you can make here. But boom, world champion.
Yeah, and he does this thing. I mean, he always has an idea. It's never just something to shock your opponent. He always has some kind of an underlying idea, and he definitely had one today. It seemed like he was doing very, very well, but MVL defended precisely, I assume, and also the feeling has to be that maybe there were some better options for Magnus.
Yep. Let's see. Are the boys already continuing? Nah.
Not yet. We still have some time to go.
Breather. And it looks like Peter's wish is becoming a reality. The amazing times we're living in. A minute ago, we were talking about Daniil Dubov and his expertise. And now we have Daniil Dubov on the show. Welcome, Daniil. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm still in Yekaterinburg, actually. So I've spent more time here than all of the candidates, yeah?
I heard you got stuck there. Why are you still in Yekaterinburg and not back in Moscow, let's say?
No, I mean, it's more of a wish. It's not that I was forced to, but I thought, okay, Moscow is not the best city to, to return to, and that was my sort of thought like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then, I mean, it's not getting better. So once I decided to stay here 3 weeks ago, now it's even more logical to, to stay here forever, yeah.
Are you still in the Hyatt, or you moved out?
I actually had to move. Yeah, that's what just life is. Yeah.
So sad. How are you enjoying this show? I mean, not our show. I mean their show, the games and the.
I like it actually. Well, it's nice to follow. I mean, still somehow it feels. I mean, sometimes it feels like it's a bit of a random clicking for them, but yeah, I mean, generally, it's really nice to follow indeed. Still, somehow it doesn't feel like, you know, like a sport competition. It feels more like some exhibition show or something, which it probably is, in fact. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it just, yeah, for instance, the way Maxim lost yesterday, I mean, sometimes it feels like some random clicking, and that's it.
Yeah, that was maybe the strangest game of the tournament, because it wasn't even the shortest loss in the tournament, but the game that holds the record, that was obviously Alireza just being very upset with how things are going, and also it had no bearing on the outcome. The match was already over when he lost that game to Hikaru, but that was a very important Armageddon. And
well, I mean, MVL against Nepa was also important, right? So I mean, generally,
yeah.
It took MVL like 30 moves or something to lose to Armageddon games, it seems.
Yeah, so far he's averaging 18 moves per Armageddon loss. He lost 1 in 20 moves with white and with 1 in 16 with black, which is a bit strange.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And we know how tough he is. Yeah, so I mean, it's probably about this new format. I mean, obviously people will adapt, but so far, I mean, sometimes it's, yeah, I mean, it's a bit strange.
Everyone's played a lot of blitz on the internet, especially, I would assume Maxime as well. So I don't understand how he can like blitz out a move like 4 bishop f5. Was this a pre-move? What's your theory?
I actually missed it. Yeah, I thought it could be a pre-move, but yeah, I don't know.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think he kind of likes playing the Slav in a weird way. I think there was some World Cup probably in Tromsø where he played like after 4-3. He played bishop g4, h3, bishop f5 in some very, very important game. I mean, it obviously makes more sense, but still it's quite, I mean, funny.
How can this make any sense?
No, this makes some sense.
Yeah, I think bishop e4 improves in some lines.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, okay, he played it in some rapid game, probably against Kramnik or something. I mean, it was not a random game. It was a very, very important game, in fact.
No, but this I've seen, at least this doesn't. Here, you don't resign, but here after bishop f5, cd5, every Russian schoolboy knows this is not great for black, no?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, even I know something about this, yeah. And I'm you know, as Russian schoolboys go, I'm probably not as educated on the Czech defense.
But
we were told yesterday by Sasha that this opening used to be called the Czech defense, and I'm still reeling from this discovery.
Yeah, but you're not schoolboy anymore. That's why, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that might be the biggest hint there.
Still, on this program, Peter is the closest to a Russian schoolboy we have, even after all these years.
Normally, but now we have somebody who is a lot more appropriate for the role, so we'll use him.
No, I don't think so. I think of you as more as a Russian schoolboy than Daniil. I understand in age it's different, but somehow Daniil, he's more of a rebel to me than you. So I associate you more with schoolboy. Daniil, do you agree or disagree with my statement?
Don't know. I mean,
less good than Grischuk at sowing controversy among the Russians, because yesterday Grischuk said that Nepomniachtchi and Peter are the top 2 complainers in world chess.
Yeah, but actually I think yesterday or the day before yesterday I had a funny conversation. So one of my friends asked me that what is it? I mean, it's completely random competition. He said that even schoolboys can join. And I said, okay, but it's an insult. I mean, it's not fair and so on. And then I realized he was not trying to insult Alireza. I mean, he's actually a schoolboy probably. That was kind of funny. I mean, I
don't know actually. Does he go to school? Do we know that?
I have a feeling by this point he's probably getting some kind of homeschooling, but that will, like, I have no idea. It's an interesting question that never occurred to me until just now. Is he going to school in France? No idea. Is anybody going to school in France right now?
Yeah,
Probably
I mean, exactly.
No.
That's what I wanted to ask. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Well, I mean, going to school is not exactly a decent goal to break the rules of this COVID, right? I mean, it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't take such a risk to go to school. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Next to my house, there's an abandoned school ground. I go there every morning because it feels like it's the safest place to be alone. I just sit in the schoolyard. There's absolutely no one. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
We have a new game, and Monsieur MVL sticks to his 1d4, which I'm sure he's done this on occasion, but I've never really seen him do that. So it's the new Maxime with the 4 Queen C2 Nimzo. Will we get another one? Nope.
Yeah, Magnus continues sort of. Whoa.
G6 H4. We got action.
No, but not only do we have, and we have this. Do we have? Hang on a second. Is there a? Yeah, okay. No, I was worried about that. So there's like a troll and a double troll going on because Magnus, of all of his entire repertoire, chooses something that Maxime himself plays, and Maxime replies with 3H4, which I guess he has the most experience with in the world playing the black pieces, because Alexander Grischuk just kept on playing it against him in every single competition, like for days on end.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting dynamic.
But
Yeah,
you
well,
normally
but
don't need to provoke Magnus, no?
Yeah, first of all, and secondly, I think MVO played it against Nepomniachtchi in a must-win situation, probably.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
So I mean, it's not a joke. Yeah, I mean, it's just a decent move.
No, I think by this point people have realized it's just not a joke at all. But seeing Maxime switch to the white side of this still gives me a little bit of a.
Yeah. Grischuk said it makes you play sort of suspect versions of very good opening, no? Of like the Benoni, the Benko, the King's Indian. Because the point of H4 is to stop this Grunfeld mainly. If you go D5, C, D, knight D5, there's no knight exchange here, so I guess either H5 or E4.
Yeah, both look very attractive. And Magnus actually does opt for just a pure King's Indian, which is, of all the options people have tried against H4, somehow this, I think, is maybe the least popular so far. There's been a lot of attempts to play the Benko. There's definitely been a lot of attempts to continue playing the Grunfeld, including that game between MVL and Nepomniachtchi in Jerusalem, in which MVL was, I think, close to winning by move 10.
Yeah, exactly.
But the pure King's Indian hasn't really been tried all that much. And I'm pretty sure Bishop E2 followed by H4 exists, right? It's not supposed to be great, but it definitely exists.
Yeah, I mean, moreover, I think there was a game between Magnus and MVL where Magnus had white, and they had exactly the current positions. And Magnus played like C5, D5, E6, H5, ED, ED, some King F1, and it was some like normal game. And I think
and I think also
Grischuk MVL maybe, no? Like, this looks very familiar.
Yeah, I have a feeling Sasha also had this with white at some point, right? I'm trying to remember against who.
Yeah, could be MVL actually. So,
Nepomniachtchi or MVL are the usual suspects there.
Well, unless it's Peter, but it's.
No, nobody has played this against me so far. Not once, I think.
You're a lucky man.
Yeah, like a year ago, I would be very upset if you said that to me. But by this point, I think maybe I am lucky.
Yeah, I tend to agree. No, I mean it's very, very unpleasant. Like 3F3 and 3H4 are most challenging, I would say.
Yeah. Because I remember when Topalov did this against Giri in the Moscow candidates in 2016, he was already on like -4 or -5, and we all just instantly assumed, okay, this is the man who wants to go home and really no longer cares at all what he's doing. And everybody was kind of chuckling to themselves watching this. And also, I think Anish got a very nice position out of the opening. And
yeah, Anish played this Benko version, but here I think it was Grischuk who started playing like E3, and things weren't so easy for black. So modern chess, huh?
Yeah. Really
Magnus
bizarre.
played E5. I guess white goes D5. And
yeah,
so,
white has to.
E5 is a new approach, I guess. So E5, even in terms of ideas, is not what black has been doing.
H5 or C5 I've seen. Yeah, E5 I'm also not very familiar with.
E5, I think white just kind of happily goes D5 and says this has to be a decent version of the whatever you want to call them, the Petrosians or
Either back, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, because h4 generally isn't going to be a horrible move for white, I think, in almost any case. And
pawns never move back though.
Yeah, yeah.
In the other game, we have a Slav. That looks more like my style of chess. Knight f3, e3. Grab these bishops. This is all very topical currently after, for example, the game Giri versus Caruana in the candidates. But Caruana goes for the old main line with queen to b3, not Giri's bishop d2. Queen b3, queen c7, bishop d2, bishop e7. Didn't they play this the other day? Who had this? I have a horrible memory. Someone did this, maybe Ding. This specific move, g3. Here there's other options, of course. I think this was Ding MVL. g3, knight bd7, cd, cd, rook c1. What do the experts say?
I am not an expert. I don't quite understand these positions at the best of times. It seems like it's just kind of concrete here because it's a little bit awkward to meet the threats along the c file. I just don't see a comfortable reply. Queen b8 doesn't look right. Queen b6. I think we take and we go knight b5, and it's actually sort of more awkward than you would suspect.
Yeah, but I think in general, what Russian schoolboys are taught is that basically once you play knight b to d7, then cd is slightly better for white in general. So yeah, I mean after cd you normally need to play knight c6 to be completely fine.
German schoolboys were also taught here that after CD you often go knight d5, but I think modern computer engine boys no longer share that sentiment in all kinds of positions here. So I guess they kind of know what they're doing. And Ali Reza goes queen back to d8. Whoa.
Yeah, that would be the way to try to continue dynamically here, because both of the other options seemed kind of unattractive. Queen b7 is playable, but I guess we just go rook b8, rook b2, and maybe even just castles for now. But if you castle, maybe I take on g6, I go queen b3, queen c2, and you really have to start playing very, very quickly and energetically there to prove.
Yeah, some e5 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think e5 might have to be strictly the only idea black has, because if you give white, a couple of tempi here to, I don't know, play king f2, g2, and bishop b2, it's just a pawn for nothing pretty much.
But the funny thing is that actually in the current position, what AlphaZero taught us, that basically sometimes it makes sense to take on g6, and now you go king d1, c2, b1.
Oh, that's nice, yeah. Let's see if Fabiano goes for that. I think Karpov in the old days would always go for this king f2, king g2, but he's no AlphaZero. Let's switch to the other game, because there's, at least to my eyes, strange things happening. After bishop e2, e5, Maxim took, and he goes for, to me, looks like a suspect version of exchange kings Indians, whatever you call this. h5, c6. Is this good for white? Is this a h-pawns irrelevant?
And time for another retraction. Well, not a retraction as such, but I think a shout out because of all the stellar work he's been doing for years. A shout out here will not go amiss. 3h4 has been played for years and years before the top players picked it up by, I think you can guess by who. I think there's only one candidate, frankly.
I have no clue.
Simon. Ginger GM.
He goes 2c4. I thought he chooses between bishop f4 and knight c3 here.
But apparently not. And there's a decent chunk of Simon's games starting with c4, g6, h4, dating all the way back to the first one I see on my screen currently is 2008, with specifically the idea of bishop g7, knight c3, d5, h5. So Simon is really a man way ahead of his time here. So shout out to him.
Yep. Shout out to him. Get his course. And what was it called? The Black Lion? The Black Sheep?
The Black Lion, exactly.
Black Panther? Something. Anyway.
By the way, what happened in the first game? I mean, the first game between Magnus and MVL. But I mean, when I was leaving my room, Magnus was completely winning.
Do you see the opening?
Yeah, I mean, I saw. Yeah, I saw like.
I saw Bishop C4.
Yeah, I looked at it like 5 years ago, but yeah, I was not impressed.
Shrug
I don't know.
emoji.
We didn't check with Engine. It looked like it was under pressure, but MVL survived. Where could he have
No, I
won?
really have to wonder if Rook B5 here is actually strong.
Yeah, I mean, after Rook C1, he was like, yeah, that was the last point I saw. After Rook C1, it was like +4 or something. I mean, it's not
Really?
obvious.
He's still even here, yeah, because...
Well, it's not even. So basically, Queen E4 was the only move. I mean, Queen E4 is winning, and all the rest is fine for black. And then what he was doing was fine. And then, yeah, after Rook C1, I left my room, and it was like +4. And yeah, few minutes later, it was a draw.
Yeah, not sure where he missed his chance.
Maybe we should just check for like educational purposes. I think it makes sense just to check here. B7 wins here, and the main line we actually showed on air. And after B7 F5, which I thought might be some kind of a saving grace, Queen C4 check is now completely winning for white. And Queen B2 was much stronger than Queen B3, which is also something we got completely correct. Yeah, here Queen C4 check wins because that endgame is no longer holdable. Takes Rook B8, simply Rook C7, and the difference in passer quality here is quite stark. Yeah, Queen B2 was stronger than Queen B3, but does not hold against precise play.
All right. Current position. I still don't like it for white. Is H-pawn such a big thing?
Yeah, I'm surprised by this.
His point has to be a timely H6 and then somehow alpha zero it up, but it's hard to be too impressed by this somehow.
Yeah, but I think he only started thinking after C6, right? So I mean, this after 9H5, he had like 14.30 or something.
I never trust Maxime though. He could blitz out 20 moves and make it up too.
Yeah, that is true. And now he ends up taking on G6, which, I mean, to me, doesn't look. I mean, you don't do all the stuff to take on G6 normally.
Yeah, how is
slightly
white
worse? No, like,
yeah, exactly. How is white not slightly worse here? Just straight out of the opening. I mean, 95 Rook B8 as usual.
Yeah, yeah. This just looks like a dream. Whatever this is called, exchange King's Indian.
Yeah, it's like white made all of the normal moves of the exchange King's Indian, but he also played H4, H5, and HG. And black played C6, Knight A6, and Knight C5, which
Black didn't waste the tempo, yeah?
Yeah, black...
Yeah, it could be some miracle, like takes on E5, Rook A8, castles long. Yeah, but even Knight takes C4, yeah?
Yeah. It's probably collapses, no?
Yeah, this shouldn't work.
Yeah, Rook takes C5, Rook D8, had a chance, I thought.
Yeah, that's a topical idea which often does work for white. But yeah, Knight takes C4 just picks up the entire chessboard here, right? Like everything is hanging suddenly.
Just to briefly show what we're comparing this with, there is this line that I played a lot in my childhood with mixed results, where after E5 you take, and now you go Bishop G5. One of the lines is C6, when now Knight takes E5 as a move, but no one's ever thought of going H4, Knight H6, H5 here. So
yeah, that's really not a thing, and Maxime ends up somehow utilizing the H4, H5 previous play by going Rook H4, but after Knight E6 here, you're just extremely comfortable with black, right?
It's worse, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I used to think that like if you get a position like this with white, you are like, significantly worse. And then the more you watch top grandmaster practice with this structure, the more you realize that it's actually not that easy. As long as the bishop is on C8, it's not that easy to utilize the weakness on D4, and white often gets some kind of C5, bishop C4, or C5, Knight D2, Knight C4 plans in. So it's not panic stations, but yeah, it really is uninspiring somehow.
Yeah, Knight E6, Bishop E3 was played. Yeah.
I guess you can even just go knight d4 straight away if you want, because knight c2 check is a bit of an awkward threat to face. But maybe white just goes rook c1 and
Yeah, standard bishop f8 business maybe is also there, no? But then
well, I mean, the pawn on
e5
e5 might actually start hanging at some point. So I was thinking about knight h5, but once again, I don't know if it belongs there.
Yeah,
the idea of
after g3, what happens?
Yeah, g3 and bishop f6, knight 5, g7. That first one goes to d4, second one comes over to e6. You know, kind of
beautiful
quote unquote cultured stuff. But I don't know if it's any good.
Yeah, it's a long way to lose with white anyway.
Yeah, and Fabi seemingly is not a believer in the gambit.
Fabi took you?
Yeah, he did pick up that pawn, and Alireza chose not to play rook b8. I guess if you include, you could always include knight g6. Didn't play rook b8, and Fabi, by playing bishop b5, solved the b-file problem quite effectively without even moving the queen back. And yeah, if you give white, one more move just to castle, he will have an extra pawn and a better position, as they say in the business.
Wow, doing your best Lawrence Trent there.
Which is not.
By the way, speaking of the business, have we introduced Daniil properly? Because people in the business might know who he is, but the millions of chess noobs that are watching this program might not know Mr. Daniil Dubov, the rapid world champion in the year 2018, one of the best theoreticians out there, known for blundering a lot of pawns in the opening and then continuing the game. Also was my colleague on the Magnus Carlsen team in, what year was that, 2018? We spent lovely time on a Thai beach. Daniil, what else shall we tell people about you?
No, I think it's more than enough, actually. I don't know. Balenciaga sweater, probably. Yeah, I mean, I only have one sweater.
Oh, yeah. How much was that sweater? We've had a debate on there.
Well, I mean, I had to sell all the rest of my clothes to buy it, let's say. So
I feel it was a good change.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sweater was kind of legendary in.
No, but
as
it's
they say,
here.
Yeah, I mean, it was, as the saying goes, widely known in narrow circles, because of where and when it was bought and the very, very strict dress code seemingly in place in that event. So there was a lot of pointed discussion on the topic of Balenciaga sweaters.
Yeah, but actually now I'm sort of pot committed. I mean, it used to be a joke, but now that people started to care about it and ask questions, I mean, then there is no way back. Yeah, I mean, I will keep doing it. So.
Yeah.
Will you purchase more Balenciaga items? I have some good sneakers too, no? Like maybe you can.
No, I actually have, I have few of them. So the second one was bought, I mean, especially for Mr. Sotovsky before this World Rapid and Blitz.
Ah, right. That was not just a fashion statement, but a rule statement as well.
Yeah, of course.
Ah, okay, I didn't know that. Peter, I think you could pull off a Balenciaga sweater.
But I choose not to.
Okay.
So does Alireza have any compensation here? I only see.
Well, I mean, if he gets knight c7, knight e6, bishop f6, and white kind of does absolutely nothing for 3 moves, maybe. But it's unlikely this is how this game will transpire. b3 I quite like because it makes you much more comfortably, it prepares queen d3 without having to worry about knight c4. Knight d6, I guess he thinks on f5 it will be more active. I guess he's right, but...
Yeah, but somehow it's strange. I mean, if you play queen d3, even if you will somehow miraculously blunder the d4 pawn that is not even attacked, you're still slightly better. I mean...
Yeah, but I don't think knight b5 necessarily is a mistake either.
Yeah.
Although now his position looks a little bit not shaky exactly, but you need to maybe make a few precise moves. because the pieces are a little bit disconnected. I guess he goes bishop c3. But then maybe knight f5 is slightly improved because you have a little bit more jumping to look forward to.
Yeah, pieces at the queen side are stuck. Or maybe you can just take on d6 and go queen d3 anyway. I mean, why would you care?
And then just bishop takes g5 in this position. Bishop g5, queen e5. Sorry, I was. Hang on, e2 is not hanging. We can take on g5. Yeah, let's take on g5. It's a healthy pawn.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it does feel like Alireza is in quite some trouble, and Fabi goes for something very concrete, which I think this kind of wins. Well, doesn't win the exchange on the spot, because I think knight b5 he goes bishop takes b5, and Black will have the option of playing bishop b7. But it's a kind of a sad option.
Also, just greedy question: why can't I take?
I don't know. I just don't like allowing knight takes d4. But there's no. I honestly, after bishop c5 here, I don't see why not. But Fabi already hasn't done that, and Alireza did not play bishop b7 because bishop b7, bishop c5, you just want to cry. Like your position is worth your down material. It's just so ugly. So he goes bishop takes d4, and he will, I guess, play queen f6 or something next move and say that he has some kind of a dark square dominance here, which he doesn't. But
this looks lost, no? There's knight on b6 is not close enough to the action.
It's mainly because the knight is on b6. If this knight was somewhere around f5 already, you could definitely see this becoming a difficult technical task for white. Probably still better for white, but not easy. With a knight on b6, I think.
Yeah, but actually, I mean, actually, somehow he keeps tilting after missing something, right? I mean, in all his matches, so against Hikaru, he flagged in a winning position, and then he
didn't flag actually. That's the thing. That's not what happened. Yeah, tilting in that particular match you can understand, but tilting here after losing, I mean, you can lose to Fabi. It's really not such a shocking outcome.
I mean, after like you have a very bad position, then the guy blunders bishop takes b5, and then you still lose. I mean, okay, this is not exactly how you expect to lose.
Yeah, the first one, but the first one here, I think he just played too sharply for a win after it became completely level. Like he was actually, after bishop takes b5, he was like way better, in fact. So was he?
Yeah, I think if you don't take h6, I think after knight d7, bishop a4 is
okay. And then just you go for the king. Yeah, knight d3, queen g4, knight f4, and
yeah. I mean, exactly. That's why you should never take pawns. Yeah.
Well, he didn't take the pawn. He played knight d3, I guess, with similar ideas, and Fabi no longer allowed it by playing a b5 and returning the b5 pawn. But I mean, just
lose this position is pretty shocking.
Yeah, losing this position is really unnecessary.
Yeah.
And I think it only happens if you really badly want to play for a win at all costs.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's tilting. Could also be he got caught in the opening a bit, but yeah, overall he hasn't looked very stable. Then again, 16 and all that.
Yeah, and MVL is now will have to defend this endgame.
What a pawn structure.
Yeah, he is a pawn up, but this is one of the uglier pawn structures I've seen in quite some time. Do we think Black actually has a realistic chance of winning this?
I mean, I don't think Black is better, but when it's Magnus, there is always a chance, yeah.
You don't think Black is better? I actually do think Black is better. I'm just not sure if you can win or not. Because I think like you bring the king, like you keep the rook on a5 so that the king always stays around b3. And then eventually you play like king e7, king e6, you play rook e5, and then you play g5. And
yeah, but you probably don't wait as white. You probably play some king b3 e4, and then you go rook h4, h8, b8, and then you have more pawns.
Yeah, if you're in time to activate that rook, and MVL shows that he understands he probably shouldn't be passing for very long. And in that respect, I'm actually slightly surprised about king f8. I thought king g7, followed by once again the same plan of playing rook e5, g5 as soon as possible, was stronger.
Yeah, that is true.
Because if we actually make him stick that rook on g4, I begin liking black's position tremendously.
Yeah, I tend to agree. No, I mean, obviously white has to be extremely precise and he has to do something. That is true.
Yeah.
We go king g7 now. What have I?
Yeah, I think we
lost?
can probably still go back. I don't think very many things changed. We'll see. And honestly, I would trust Magnus a lot more than I would trust my own opinion in this position. So if he played king f8, maybe I'm not seeing something straight. But
well, he has bishop rook g5 now as well.
ah, yeah. So he's now trying to calculate what happens after, let's say, rook h8, rook b8. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it could be that the g pawn is is faster, but yeah, who knows?
Oh, exciting. King somewhere, maybe here. Yeah?
Yeah, probably here, so that rook b7 is not a check. And now we take and we just run.
Yeah, it's actually kind of problematic to stop the pawn, yeah?
Well, rook d7, d1, but you have to go passive. But then the a-pawn will start running, and the a-pawn is far, far, far away. So yeah, I think white is probably better now. Which would be...
It could be some study though, yeah. I mean, you're almost in the quarter. Some king 8.
Almost, but not quite, right? So
yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah,
he did end
G7.
up playing king g7. And let's say we play f6 here. We wait for one more move. We make you do something. I don't know, f6, something,
Yeah.
a3, just for demonstration's sake, or g3 or whatever.
Yeah, but f6 is not exactly a waiting move. Yeah, I mean it's.
No, but my point is, if I go rook e5 here, and he went rook g5, actually asking to play g4, might be quite clever, because now I guess after g4, the rook really will be very, very hard pressed to get activated. And rook f2, rook g4 loses a pawn, so.
But maybe not a game, yeah? You go rook d2 and pray.
Yeah, maybe you actually go for this. Maybe you go rook f2, rook d2, and yeah, and that's what he does. Yeah.
Yeah, but I tend to agree now white is really down to praying. Yeah, I mean, it could be mathematically lost. I mean, it's not...
Yeah, it could very easily just be bad, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I'd just go king f8, chicken. King here.
Yeah, but then
That
if
is
you allow
something.
king c2, king d3, it might, once again, you are still better, but I don't know if you ever win, because this seems like a bit of a stable setup.
Looks like a crown. I like it.
It's a bathtub
Nah, it's not quite a bathtub.
with king as a plug.
So Magnus has a decision to make here. If he wants to go for direct action or not.
But actually, what I wanted to point out about this format, actually, I'm interested in what Peter will say. I tend to think that in general, the time travel is much tougher when you play online, not offline. I mean, it's much more nervous. So, for instance, when we played the stupid Abu Dhabi Blitz, I mean, okay, I'm normally calm. I mean, I can be down to like 5 seconds, and I'm sort of okay with it. But I mean, online, I'm down to 20 seconds, and then it starts to show like not only full numbers, but it's like 18.3 or something. And I'm really scared. I feel like, okay, I'm almost, I'm losing some time.
Yeah, I said exactly the same in an interview, that I panic a lot earlier than I normally would.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I don't panic like this in over the board blitz. Like, it would take a very, very complicated position in like 10 seconds for me to start really, for the brain to completely switch off and proper panic to set in.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Online it happens around 15-12 seconds, and I really lose all control of my motor function. Like it becomes an absolute crapshoot.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. Okay.
Magnus has gone for the massage, the slow version, bringing his king, and MVL centralizing his king too.
Yeah, I think he wants to play something like c5, check f6, king e5, rook g4, and start picking them up one by one. It's just very difficult to imagine how white actually defends against any of this.
But there is actually a sadistic plan. So you go rook h5, then you go f6, rook h7. So you threaten mate. Then after king d3, you go king e5, rook d7, d6.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very unpleasant.
No, it's incredibly unpleasant, despite seemingly, you know, being quite simple and all that. But
Magnus looks incredibly happy too.
well, I think even I would be pleased with this position with black, and for him, he also wins them occasionally. I never win them. I like playing them because who wouldn't? But I never win them, and he does actually win them occasionally. So
I gotta step out for a second, Peter. I'll give you full mouse privileges. If this doesn't work, I can also click on auto update, but you should be able to control the mouse.
I think I'm okay now. Yeah, hopefully. Rook a5. I'm not entirely sure what the plan is, but I think he's just very happy giving MVL the choice of what to do. And in the other game,
yeah, but let's stop with chess. Now we have like 4 minutes for Russian invention or something.
Yeah, I'm very open to ideas, but for the time being, I'm just going to mention that Fabi Black did manage to establish some kind of counterplay, because it seems like the knight might be finally landing on e5 here, and that will at least generate something. But of course, with you know, an exchange and a pawn up, you assume Fabi will be able to convert this into a full point. It has to be a tactical solution as well, like something.
Yeah, exactly. You go bishop d5 and you calculate. Yes, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I think bishop d5 probably is just mate, right? Because after knight e5 we have rook takes g6.
But king h7.
King h7, rook e6 check. Yeah, I think that's enough, right? We don't need more.
And what about rook h8 then? Then we resign. Yeah, I mean, and what about king h8 then we
king
resign.
h8, rook h6.
Bishop
king h6.
takes, yeah.
Yeah, that's the trick. I was really sure I was giving mate in 2 here with rook h6 check and king g7, queen h7. But yeah, as Daniil correctly indicated, in this position I am trying to blunder a rook, which is unnecessary. But Fabi does a clever version of the same. He goes bishop d5 as we indicated, and now he just goes queen e4 and says I don't need to blunder anything for now. King g7 played by Alireza, and now, I mean, rook to most squares. Rook cf6 looks good. I think bishop g5 still keeps the game afloat, because you protect the queen on e7, making rook takes f7 tactics impossible, because now you can actually take with the knight and not lose the queen. But after bishop g5, we can go, I don't know, rook a6, and the position will at some point start collapsing.
That's actually a problem. Yeah, I mean, you normally want to finish it in some tactical way with white, but yeah, somehow after bishop g5, I don't see a way, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think rook a6 is definitely good enough. We are now currently like after d3, I can maybe even pick up this guy. Although, yeah, but probably we don't want that. Yeah, f6 is I missed f6. But we can play, let's say, h4. Force black to play bishop d2, because really there are no other moves.
Yeah.
And then after bishop d2, and apparently Alireza either resigned or lost on time, because it currently says that the game is finished. And it's not really a shock.
I would bet he resigned, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not really a shock. The position is just incredibly bad. I don't think you have no expectation of holding this as black. And in the other one, as I relinquish the controls to Jan, it's interesting that he's gone for this order, because it seemed to me that with the rook on the g file, he had more options to make immediate progress. And now I don't quite see how he's breaking in. What's the plan now?
I don't know. To chill forever. As we know.
a6 b5. I thought he might be interested in that. a6, rook a4, b5, force white to take on d5, take with the a pawn, create sort of more potential plans for yourself. But what that also does,
more plans?
I don't know. Maybe rook a3 will create some additional threats or something. But yeah, I don't think this is the cleanest massage Magnus has ever delivered in these types of positions. I think he probably could have created more problems for MVL.
Yeah, but white is still pawn up. Yeah, I mean you can wait with rook on f2, for instance, and after b5 you take and go e5.
And MVL actually found a very interesting idea. He went c5 with the intention of going rook h7, and then now it's should be a very easy draw for white.
No, now white is better.
Yeah, maybe white is even better, but I suspect it's still black is so rock solid here that he never loses. But yeah, that's a very unusual game by Magnus, considering, I mean, how unpleasant his white's position was somewhere on move 33. I'm not sure why Magnus did not just keep the rook on the g file. Yeah, somewhere around here, just as we were talking about, just play king e5, play c5, play rook g4. I think white will at some point start to give up on his pawns, and then we can talk.
Oh yeah, maybe white just plays a4, rook a2, a5, and tries to exchange.
Maybe yeah. It's possible it wasn't very much, but it's still a bit surprising just how easily MVL escaped here.
Yeah, but now it's not exactly equal. Yeah, I mean it's better for white, in fact.
Magnus get in trouble here.
Well, trouble is a bit too strong, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not very pleasant. Yeah, you have to take some decisions. Although I guess what he's doing should just be. Hang on a second. He's trying to do it tactically, and I'm not sure this will necessarily work out. Rook a6, rook c6.
Yeah, he has rook this. No, there is no rook. Yeah.
King takes e4, rook e6 mate first.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah.
So you cannot take on e4 here, because that's a very beautiful setup actually. He goes rook h8. Yeah, rook h8 is a clever move. Yeah, I guess rook h8 holds.
This would be checkmate, but the world champion spots that, goes rook h8. Now
and the point is, you're waiting for white to take on c5, and now the king on e4 cannot be checked, and black just makes a. Does he?
Yeah.
Rook f5 in that position.
Or king d2 even. Yeah, I mean it's not.
Like, how easy is that draw? In particular, I think after rook f5, after king g2, I think we give a check. We go rook g2. This one we shouldn't lose. But yeah, rook f5 and rook h2, rook f2. I mean,
yeah, it's actually set. Yeah, I mean it's a stalemate, but there is no way to.
No, it's still a draw. Yeah, rook h2, rook h3. Then he will take on e3 and go rook g3, and yeah, he's still holding, but.
But what about king g2 now?
Ah, the pawn endgame.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
But you go. No. You go with 5.
Yeah, we go 5 straight away. It's a draw. Yeah.
Yeah. So king g2, rook takes e3, rook e2 takes, and the 5 holds.
Yeah, he's played king d2, but Magnus has plenty of time to work all of these things out. So we will end this game with 2 kings on the board. I'm sure these are seasoned professionals. They will play until the pawns disappear.
Yeah, but actually even king f4 works, right? I mean it makes no sense. Yeah.
King f4, c5, king e5 is also actually, is it a draw? Is it a draw for white?
Well, it is, but you have to switch for.
Yeah, so he goes rook f6, and now after rook g3, c5, king d5, c6, rook takes g4, and the rook is just in time to come over to c4 and.
Yeah, but I mean, still, you go rook d6 first, probably. I mean, is it complete? Is it that?
Well, he played c5, so now it is, but.
Yeah.
So close.
But it's actually kind of strange. Why don't you play rook d6? I mean,
king e5.
Yeah, king somewhere.
Which position?
Yeah, I mean,
Here, yeah.
Yeah, rook d6, king e5, c5, rook g4, king...
Okay, king e5, rook d5 check here, so I guess we take on g4 first.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but then if you take, I don't know, some c5, king c3. Well, I mean, I know it's a draw, yeah.
Yeah,
It's Drosh.
It's Drosh. Yeah, let's be real here. It's a bit Drosh. So yeah, one match is very much tied at one apiece, and one match is you hesitate to say these things, but sort of effectively over, with Fabi taking a 2-0 lead after the first two games. And in particular, the way it's been going, it will be, I think, very difficult for Alireza to refocus. He's, of course, very much capable of winning a game. He struck back immediately against Magnus in their match, but having lost these two games, it does feel like it's a very much an improbability that he wins the next two.
Yeah, he also seemed a little unhappy with the overall situation, I would guess. So yeah, hard to see him coming back.
Yeah. There's now going to be a little bit of a break, I assume, and then we will synchronize round 3 on both boards, right?
I think they will continue in 10 minutes. Yeah, usually the schedule is there's a break for 10 minutes after each game, but then they sync up to play game 3 at the same time. So I'm assuming both will start in around 10 minutes time. Are we playing a clip? I see weird stuff on my screen. Sorry, I'm not sure what's happening. Ah, yeah. Guess we're back. So how's Caruana live in Yekaterinburg, Daniil? Can you go out and go shopping and all the usual stuff, or do you just sit in a flat?
Yeah, basically you can. Yeah, actually, I mean, in fact, you can. That's that's the problem. No, I think it's sort of spreading from Moscow to regions, and then at some point it will be fine in Moscow, and those regions will be in trouble. But now it's the other way around. So yeah.
Right. And Peter is still not leaving his flat, or
no? I do occasionally, because the problem with having 4 people at home all the time is that the amounts of food consumed by our family just have gone absolutely through the roof compared to like the normal state of affairs when I'm never home and the kids are at school half the day. So there's a lot of grocery shopping to do, more or less. Well, I wouldn't say daily, but regularly. If not for that, we're not leaving the house very much now.
Is it becoming a problem?
It is becoming a little bit of a problem. It's everybody's, the first and I think the biggest problem is that the rest of the family is not used to me being around this much, so they're very unnerved by this new development, and I'm also not very used to seeing them all the time. We have to readjust to all that, but we're not doing as poorly as you could have guessed.
All right. I got absolutely nothing, guys. The next game is in 7 minutes. What do we do? Do we play clips? I'm completely blank at this point.
So actually, what do you think about Alireza's chances, by the way?
Chances to do what?
Well, I don't know. Let's say chances to... Yeah, now it's it's quite unlikely. So I wanted to ask about chances to make it to top 4. But now it's kind of...
if you lose today.
Yeah, even before today's round, I thought he was a huge underdog. I mean, it's, once again, I'm a specialist in hot takes on this show. I always take the most controversial position possible. But yeah, no, the more interesting topic, and the topic that gets a lot of traction on social media.
If Giri wins the game.
No, I mean, you brought up the subject of Alireza. Is like, how would you estimate the chances of Alireza, let's say, playing let's not talk about the match 2022. Let's say candidates 2022.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it really. Well, let's say it's like 50% depends on him, but yeah, the other 50% is quite random. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, with the current situation, candidates 2022, there might not be a tournament called candidates in 2022, and all that clearly is very much up in the air. But if we somehow, I understand it's difficult, kind of completely tune out the situation in the world. Let's say at the start of the year, before all of this became all we think about, what would you say were his chances?
No, but even if Czeslaw resumes as normal, it's if you are a top 15 player, which he might be at that point, it's not a given you qualify for the candidates, right? You have to get lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
One of these
Yes, that was my point. So I mean, moreover, I think they're going to use this, this stupid system of average rating again, which sort of, I mean, gives him zero chance. And then basically he would be down to World Cup and some Grand Prix that he could.
Yeah,
also...
World Cup, Grand Prix, and Grand Swiss, just as every other mortal had to use to qualify.
Yeah, but then I think altogether it's like 5%.
This low? I wasn't sure it was this low, but yeah, I thought he was a dog, but I'm a bit surprised at the number you gave.
Well, I mean, the World Cup is
no, maybe if you just do the math without like even putting the names into the equation, just like World Cup is a 128-person tournament, and Grand Prix will, if the system keeps being the same, Grand Prix are 24 people, and the Grand Swiss is like 150 Swiss. If you just assign numerical numbers to this, you probably do come up with something like single digits, yeah, low single digits.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I had the same calculation for myself because I had exactly like all the same stuff in the previous cycle. So I had the Grand Prix, the World Cup, and the Grand Swiss. And I thought like, okay, I mean, obviously, like most of my chances are Grand Prix. Then like all the rest, I have maybe 1 or 2% together, and then Grand Prix gives you like 3 or 4, I don't know. So I mean, obviously, Grand Prix is your best chance, but I mean, still with so many big names and everything, you need to be really lucky.
Yeah, it doesn't need to go your way somewhere.
No, I mean, also with this Grand Prix, it's really weird. So the pairings are weird, pretty much. I mean, obviously, like everybody is strong, but some people are strong and some people are extremely strong. And yeah, for instance, I think in Moscow there was a match between Karekin and Grischuk in the first round, right?
Yeah, first round Karekin versus Grischuk is.
And then basically
special.
once you lose in the first round, at least once, you're basically out of the competition. Pretty much.
Probably, yeah. I don't think you can afford to score no points in one of them.
What we're talking about is ways to qualify for the candidates tournament in 2022, which will be the next circle trying to determine the challenger for the world champion, which currently is Magnus Carlsen.
We've taken it down a bit of a rabbit hole, but we are waiting for the round to restart. And
yeah, I'm just trying to explain. The topic is the current candidates tournament is still ongoing. It was abandoned after 7 rounds were played in Yekaterinburg, where Daniil Dubov, who is with us, is still, well, not stuck, but still staying by his own choice. Daniil, what were you doing there? Were you commentating? Were you working for one of the players? Both?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was commentating indeed, so yeah. Then I decided to stay till my, let's say, paid amount of days in the Hyatt expires, and then I decided to pay myself, and then, I mean, okay, there was no way back. No, but actually, but actually going back to the previous topic, I actually think, so let me come up with a probably strange statement. I actually think that, let's say if Magnus would be one of us and he would have to qualify to candidates, I don't think he would have like much more than 50%, in fact. So I think it's basically Grand Prix, and all the rest gives him like 10% altogether.
World Cup? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Well,
those are. I mean, the qualification process is is very, very difficult, and yeah, for those who can't just nail down a rating spot, and there are very, very few people who are even in consideration for a rating spot.
Right.
Yeah,
Every
for Magnus,
cycle.
it won't be a reality anytime soon because he would be, at the very least, World Championship match finalist or get the rating spot. But yeah, point taken. It's very hard for anybody to qualify for this candidates.
Yeah.
And the games are.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If he would be down to these three things, Grand Prix, World Cup, and yeah, and Grand Swiss, I think, yeah, I mean, he'll probably have like 60%, but he'll probably be favorite, but not a very big favorite, I would say.
Carlsen has decided that his 5 bishop c4 Sicilian was a one-off, and he is now testing Maxim in Maxim's new weapon, the Slav.
Yeah, and here you can actually play bishop f5 as a kind of a troll.
It's not a troll; it's a main move.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean, though. And he does play bishop f5, and the obvious huge difference is, of course, now after cd5, queen b3, bishop c8, the white bishop is on c1 and cannot actually get to the good squares so
I'm
easily.
curious.
there.
I would guess he wants to play this gambit. No, knight c6.
Yeah, and MVL probably prefers the more dynamic play, but is bishop c8 like badly wrong by this point, or it's just they discovered knight c6 exists?
Depends how much sadness you can handle. It's not badly wrong, but you're still, you are giving up some tempi. You play knight c6, e6, and you're a little worse, but yeah, it's doable, not what he did in this other line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Magnus.
but I think he wants CD knight takes d5 maybe.
Ah, that also exists, but it's also sad. Someone did this against me, but Magnus is probably not feeling like discussing that line, and they've transposed back to this position you usually get via knight f3, knight f6, e3, bishop f5. So very cute move order flirting here. Knight f3, e6, knight to h4, f3, bishop g6, and bishop d2. He plays like Mr. Giri did against Caruana. Does not go for queen b3, but starts with bishop d2. And Giri followed up with taking and putting the queen on c2 in that game against Fabi. In the candidates. MVL taking some time, goes bishop e7, which Fabi did as well. I guess you take now.
Yeah, it was very curious to me because Fabi did not really seem like, it didn't seem like he made, too many, obvious glaring inaccuracies, and he was pretty much dead by move 15.
Yeah, even though he did play something very provocative. No, was this?
Well, it was like
b7,
knight d7 and random move knight b6.
Something like this, yeah. Knight b6, of course, is asking for action.
Yeah, I think in general it's quite strange, but I think in general, yeah, even if white plays c5 himself, I mean, without being provoked, I think it's still quite unpleasant for
Right. Like, even after rook c8, let's say, you would consider a move like c5 maybe, so...
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I think it used to be considered to be like great for black. You castle, go e5, and you have some good pieces, dynamics, and everything, but now I think it's just quite sad.
Yeah, let's see how this one goes. Generally, yeah, white has the 2 bishops, which is considered a small advantage, but black has a lot of his pawns on light squares, and he gave up the light square bishop, so the bishop can cover the other squares. Therefore, these positions are nothing but simple.
But Magnus actually switches back to queen b3, which is...
yeah, he doesn't go queen c2. Then you could ask the question, why does he take on g6 so early? I'm not sure it makes a difference, but here you could make a case for maybe starting with this, just so h2 is not hanging after, I don't know, queen c7 or some move. Not sure it makes a difference.
I mean, you don't want to be worried about some weird knight e4 in some lines or something.
Yeah, maybe some bishop h5, who knows. And he goes long castles. Which I guess is still theory. This, I'm sure, must have been played before.
Yeah, it's difficult to imagine this position not occurring, at least in some games. And
But that's actually what I thought is the smartest thing for white. I mean, it requires zero knowledge to just play queen b3, castle long, go king b1, Then after knight bd7, you always play cd, and then after cd you're slightly better. And after ed, you just go e4, and you're almost winning.
Yeah, the question is often if this dc4 works, no? And then this, I don't know, b5,
exactly.
a6, c5 flag, who's in time to do what?
Yeah.
So yeah, this could get interesting. dc4 played, bishop c4. I guess you go b5.
Either b5. Sometimes they actually start with a6 for some obscure reason. Also, knight bd7 is probably not a glaring mistake. But yeah, b5 straight away by Maxim. No messing around.
Could you, Peter, explain me? Because I could never get it. So just in terms of logic, so what's the reason for black to do it? I mean, how it can be good? So you basically give up two bishops, you give up the centers, and you go for some random flank attack. And I mean, it's not that white was really spending too much time for doing something stupid. So what's the justification?
For me, as somebody who absolutely loves the two bishops and is very happy to play the position with the two bishops almost everywhere, I always looked at these structures and thought, this has to be excellent. But somehow, I think maybe some kind of a partial justification is that if we do get, let's say, a6, knight bd7, c5, dc5, knight takes c5 type positions, the bishop on e2 is a little bit sad, and black does get some decent piece play on the queen side, maybe. But mainly, I think that the bishop on e2 is very restricted, and it's not so easy to include it in the game. But I sort of understand your general point. Yeah, it's always been a little bit surprising to me just how happily black appears to be going for this structure.
I vaguely recall, I'm not sure if it was in this position, but yeah, I was just going to say, I've seen some idea like knight to e4 in something like this, and then takes and c5 with very complex stuff. I guess it was this line. I can't recall if it was with the king on b1, but...
Yeah, I think it's some very, very old theories that was shown to me by Konstantin Sakaev, who is actually a brilliant expert of the whole Slav defense. So I think
exactly.
I was like 13 or 14, and there was some training session for random Russian kids, and I was there. And once, like, instead of solving some random puzzles, he finally decided to show us some opening stuff.
Yeah, no, it feels like, I was like in my 30s still, so it must have been a long time ago. But back then, this was a topical thing. Like, I don't know, some Houdini 2 or something. I was checking this one.
Could be the same time, actually.
Yeah,
Fabi is doing something incredibly risky. I mean, he only needs half a point out of 2 games, but he managed to really, put his position under a lot of pressure by move 11 here. Well, it might still work out tactically, but
it's kind of strange. I think it was you, Peter, who once explained me that for queen c2 g6 is just brilliant for black, and then you play very good Grunfeld.
That's what I thought.
And I mean, unlike most of your opening advices, I mean, this one was absolutely brilliant and had exactly 0 drawbacks. So I checked it many times. I mean, it makes exactly 0 sense. So I mean, indeed, I played this queen c2 with the idea of facing d takes c4 by playing e4 in this gambit, and I played it many times, and I was happy with it. But after g6, white has exactly 0 ideas as well.
No, I think the only important detail there is that the g6 bishop f4, you have to take on c4.
Yeah,
here.
Exactly, and that's what you told me like many years ago. And it's just...
Yeah, I thought it was sensible. I never know if you're joking or not, but I honestly always thought this was very sensible. And
no, it is brilliant. I think I managed to win some game against some French Grandmaster, which lasted for like maybe 20 moves, and my knowledge was limited by our like 2-minute talk, and I was much better after the opening, and was enough.
No, but even here, it feels to me like Fabi must have been okay, but then he allowed all of this without too much thought, and now his position.
Dislike this. This looks like white is a couple tempi up compared to normal. I don't know. Semi-soft positions.
I think something has gone wrong here, and in fact, black is kind of lucky he has this 97 f5 setup. Otherwise, he's really going to get in a lot of trouble.
I think it's actually very, very close to be a direct transposition to some Bogolubov stuff, yeah? I mean,
maybe, yeah.
It looks extremely similar. Like bishop b4 check, you go.
Knight bd2, these lines, yeah.
This line, yeah, that's sharp stuff.
Yeah, and then how do they get it? You play like bishop d3, c5, you probably take or something.
h4, queen c2, like there's all kinds of nonsense here. Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, but there is some line where, where is open the center, and it's pretty much the same.
Not sure how to get there, but yeah, it does look very
yeah,
similar.
me too.
And the position he got now is, I mean, it looks kind of ugly, but the white pieces lack stability. Like if white could just play knight f3, e5 here, he'd be close to winning, but the knight on d4 is hanging, so you need to solve this issue somehow.
Yeah,
so it could
then you
it could turn out to be so easy. It could turn out to be not that bad at all right now, because you still have to prove you can stabilize.
Yeah, I think actually there was pretty much the same position in some game between Evgeny Tomashevsky, who had white, and Vachier-Lagrave. And I think it finished in a draw, and I was extremely surprised. But then I checked it briefly, and it was like
is rook e1 maybe a move here? I was trying to calculate, but I guess you play bishop c5, and after knight e6 you can go rook e8.
Or I even go e5.
Yeah, or that. Alireza goes bishop c4.
That makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Jumps.
Yeah, rook d1, knight e5 continues to be a bit of an idea you can go for. Yeah, I mean, white's sort of biggest issue here is this bishop on c1, which has no squares, and it's very difficult to include it in the game. And because of that, it's very difficult to connect the rooks.
Maybe just go bishop h6 like Kasparov, gh, rook 81, and then take it from there.
Yeah, with white to move in this position, I would maybe even consider this. With black to move, probably not.
Yeah, because it's not legal.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Exactly.
What's Magnus doing?
Magnus?
That's 6 e5. That escalated quickly.
You know your client better than I do. 1028. Is he still in book?
I'm trying to recall what I thought I knew about this position like 10 years ago or something. I can't recall any of this e5 stuff. I think it was more like d5 and weird positional compensation.
Yeah, I think it was a book actually, like e5, c4, queen c2, knight b4 takes. I mean, something like that was supposed to arise, I guess.
So e5, cd4 plate, bishop f3. Magnus sacrifices the central pawn to activate this bishop.
Yeah, and he now has a very cute tactic in the current position. Queen d7, he played queen c2, and after knight a7, which looks like the only move, he will play queen takes c8, I think.
Winning in exchange, or does he?
No,
queen c8.
Queen c8 exists, yeah. And then you just you take on d4, and once again you have your bishop pair. Yeah. But black probably isn't doing so poorly here. I mean, unless rook c1 wins. If rook c1 is very strong, then obviously it's not going to be nice for black.
I'm also wondering if giving a check to annoy you helps. But
yeah, both of those actually are quite annoying. Rook c1, I think, has the potential of being incredibly strong here.
Yeah, but after knight b6, you need to come up with a move, though, yeah?
Yeah, knight c4. I thought I could play rook c6. I was very happy. But then knight c4 with bishop d8, and we don't have bishop a5.
Yeah.
Oh, but we have bishop c6 check and mate, yeah? So that's maybe solving our problems.
Okay.
That is true.
Maybe so this continues, but no, probably not.
Yeah, this does continue. Yeah, this maybe is actually not that horrible for black even. Who knows?
Yeah, but it's not that you're worried about it as white as well. I mean,
no, you're not unhappy about any of this for sure.
Yeah.
And knight a7 is on the board. Magnus, yeah, he doesn't miss such tactics. He's just gonna weigh his options here.
Yeah, maybe even queen d3 is playable, but I would like not to allow black to castle here if I could.
Just to show the point, after knight c8, bishop c6, we actually do win an exchange. And maybe the game is not over, but what is better? So this line felt likely.
Queen c8 on the board by now, yeah. So the big question will be...
Yeah, sorry for interrupting you. I actually start to feel like it's better for black to sack an exchange. Because after queen takes, it's just takes, bishop c6 check. I mean, white is not just dead lost.
Yeah, it could be king f8, just ed4, yeah, and
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
no, I thought I would have maybe some counterplay with rook h4 and then knight b6, and I don't know. And we have more of the, well, I wanted to say national team, but I'm not part of the national team, so let's say former national team joining the call.
Welcome, Mr. Grischuk.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, dear viewers. So, yeah, I guess Maxim blundered this whole idea. I mean, he had very good position if he didn't play cd4, at least according to engines. I mean, any move was good except cd4. Castle short was fine. Because it's not like you get completely mated if even after h4, h5, I guess you can just play g5 and h6, g6, you're not getting mated. I mean, white cannot afford to just ruin his whole center because he doesn't mate.
And Maxim has indeed decided to take on c8 with the knight, if I see this correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, knight b6 doesn't even take on e3, which is kind of understandable because then the knight on c8 would be completely stuck. But this looks bad. ed4, I guess he just goes knight d5 and waits for white to take on d7 eventually and takes with the king. But
maybe he plays knight c4 to just.
Well, knight c4 maybe to just force the matters. Yeah.
Yeah, so this third game he's heavily struggling.
But according to Magnus, he always is. It's the French school of suffering. It only starts now.
You mean third game of the match or third game in the Slav or?
Oh no, in the match. He was okay. He was lost in game 1, then worse in game 2, and now almost lost in game 3.
So does it make sense to play rook h to d1 or I don't know, some random pass just to try to open up the center? No, he doesn't. Okay, whatever.
I'm a bit surprised he took on d7. I don't see any point to take.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe he just thinks he will win it easily and he doesn't need to care about tempos and stuff. But it's a bit weird to take on d7, no?
Yeah.
Maybe he just wants to play h3 now to be able
h3, rook h4, I'm starting to think it might be okay for black, you know?
No,
well,
G4,
maybe not okay. Yeah, g4 is the point, yeah.
No, that was the point, to prepare g4.
Yeah, but maybe h3 you go f5 first and then... Well, it doesn't...
White will take. White will take, yeah.
Okay, he played h4, if there's not a mouse slip. Probably not, no?
Probably not, no.
It's a stylish move.
If rook h4, you just take rook h1.
Take rook h1, I assume, yeah, and...
Yeah, but
rook
bishop
h1, yeah, because after bishop f2 you have rook f1, yeah.
Huh?
And otherwise we play rook h7 and yeah, it starts becoming unpleasant for black. Rook h8 and you don't really expect to save this somehow.
Bishop doing a good job restricting the knight. Distance 4.
It's a bit like this line in Rouser, you remember, Peter, yeah?
Yeah, how does that go? Ah, yeah, I know exactly which one you mean. Yeah, I used to play it with, I think, both colors. That's
not sure I'll be able to produce it, but I'll make.
I think it's it's in here, right here. Castles f4, knight d4, queen takes, queen a5, bishop c4, bishop d7, e5 takes, knight bishop c6, bishop d2, knight d7, knight d5, queen c5, or queen d8, doesn't matter. Takes, rook hf1, I think, rook f d8. Or rook h e1 maybe, yeah, rook h e1, rook f d8, bishop d3, knight f8, queen g4, and rook takes d3, and let's go.
We're in exchange down in either case.
Yeah, believe it or not, used to be theoretically important.
Yeah. Before they figured out rook was 5.
Exactly, and bishop was 355. Yeah,
that's right. Sasha, Daniil, do you guys have theories on how much the pieces are worth? Like Caruana didn't know. I was telling him rook was 5, bishop 3.5, knight 325. Do you have like a scale for these things?
No, we didn't teach that knight and bishop are 3 pawns, rook is 4.5, queen is 9, but I think it's a bit low. I mean, I think pieces are worth a little bit more.
That's why I gave you the correct numbers. It's 5, 3.5, 325.
yeah.
Yeah,
and
but
then there's the.
I was taught some strange math that would that would mean that three pieces are much weaker. 3 minor pieces are much weaker than a queen. And I was always puzzled with the fact that they are not, in fact.
I'm not sure about the queen, if it's 9 or 10 points. I think it's 10 in my system.
well, I think I was told that it's like 12 or something. So, like, I was ready to sacrifice anything but a queen. So, yeah.
12 I've never heard. 9 or 10, but 12 is like... Maybe that's what I told Stockfish. He's always so happy with the queen. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah,
what's happening in...
learned recently that 4 knights win easily against a queen.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I was kind of surprised by that. But it's just, okay, you just...
4 knights win against the queen?
4 knights against queen.
Yeah, but actually 2 knights against the queen, like, is most likely to be a draw in most of the cases.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, I mean, that's why probably, yeah, I mean, if
I think on the Internet Chess Club you could play with 4 knights against the queen. It was 4 knights were good. Is Caruana okay? What's going on here?
I don't know. I'm a bit surprised by this queen a6 move, because I sort of understand why you would want to take the queens off in general, but
yeah, but he didn't find, I think on move 16 there were huge move for him, e5.
Daniil mentioned that a little later. Yeah. That's cute. How does it go? 95?
I have no idea why, but it works for some reason. I don't know.
Fair enough.
No, I think it's you just play. You go queen b6 and play. I mean, it just makes sense in general.
Because you open up
like advantage for black already for some reason.
Ah, like this, yeah? Okay.
I don't know why.
Yeah. And queen a6, I think he played specifically with the intention of getting sort of what he got in the game. He really wanted to play e6, e5, and without the queens, it's a lot easier to push for that. And I think white probably is still a little bit better, but it should be manageable.
Yeah, but black's position is kind of loose. Yeah, I mean it's.
Yeah, things are not.
Here's my next very relevant theory: A pawns and H pawns, they aren't worth a full pawn. They should be like 0.80 maybe, because they can only capture into one direction.
Yes. No, of course. I mean, E pawn is more important than A pawn. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like b4 is one before is supposed to be bad because of e5, bishop b2, bishop takes b4. Yeah.
I never like these positions for black. I know engines do, but I'm always scared because I'm lacking these central pawns.
Yeah, but I think already B pawn and G pawn are very important for some reason. But I mean, it's just the A and H pawns are.
Yeah, of course, because they
B is that's why, for example, this poisoned pawn in neither is okay for black, because it's just this B2 pawn is extremely important. You not just win the pawn, but you also deny white the long castle. And also loosen up the c3 knight, you know, you ruin dark squares for white. I mean, it's not just a pawn. I mean, if you would be grabbing a2 pawn, somehow white would be winning, I believe.
Yeah, I see your point. So it's basically like you're playing football and you're playing 4-4-2, yeah? And I mean, the A and H are yeah, the side defenders. And then B and G are more important.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Magnus won in the meantime while we were dropping all this knowledge. Yeah, Maxim didn't last very long here. Why did he resign? King D6.
Oh, rook
just
A7, rook A7, and yeah, it becomes a bit too sad to continue.
But actually, how exactly do you win if black keeps pulsing? I mean, I understand it's lost, but just show me. Like, if I don't play F6, I just keep, I don't know, King E8.
Okay.
I thought you probably go B3, Bishop C1, then you provoke B4, then you go A3. Yeah, then some Bishop D2, King D3, C4, and yeah, I don't know, H3, and somehow you win. Still, I mean...
Zugzwang at least, no? Like,
yeah.
here you're running out of moves, I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
knight b6 check actually.
Oops, missed that. Okay, not running out of moves.
Stunningly, even here you have to still prove that you have a way in, yeah?
No, I mean, you go Bishop C1, A3 first, I guess.
Ah, okay, so...
But then I probably ignore it, I don't know. Then AB...
Yeah, playing F6 and resigning was probably not best.
No, I mean, obviously you lose this, I mean, anyway, yeah, I mean, obviously there is no other way for the game to end, I mean...
But I think once we exchange the A pawns, black can afford to play F5, because now... I mean, a bit earlier, preferably, yeah, with King on C2 maybe. Like here.
Still feels hopeless, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure it does, but okay.
Yeah,
anyway.
it doesn't feel great, but yeah, losing it in 3 moves was, I think he just didn't want to be there anymore. He feels like he probably loses this game anyway, and let's start game 4 and try to win it.
And the chat is saying, LOL, Peter criticizing early resignation.
The chat is absolutely correct, and this is the new normal, the chat roasting me on every subject. And I think
Bateman47.
we know who to blame for that.
Who's that?
That gentleman to the right on my screen. It all started yesterday after Sasha declared open season on me with his top 2 complainers.
Yesterday when you spent 5 minutes complaining about being called a complainer, you mean?
Yes, exactly. And now there really is no way back. I feel like I'm living in some kind of a dystopian new reality.
Fun stuff is saying Peter complaining again. Yeah, sorry guys.
Yeah, by the way, guys, talking about Russian schoolboys and yeah, the exchange sacrifices. So like 2 days ago, I decided to check. I mean, it doesn't matter why, but I decided to check what Wikipedia says about the exchange sacrifice. And I think they mentioned like 3 or 4 famous games. So like I knew, I think three of them. So there is this Reshevsky Petrosian, which you'll probably know.
The rook e6, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Tal Petrosian rook f4.
No, suddenly.
Okay.
I mean, anyway, there is no Tal Petrosian, but there is Kasparov Shirov.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one is brilliant. And then I was like extremely surprised. I think there was some game.
Topalov Anand. Topi had some good exchange sacrifices.
No. Yeah, but suddenly it was some game that I have never seen, actually. I mean, it's shameful, but it was some game by Andrei Sokolov, I think. And it was just the first time. I mean, it's... Yeah, like I had zero idea about the game, so I was a bit surprised. So maybe you know it. I think it was like Sokolov, Kramnik with Sokolov sacrificing. Yeah,
I'm gonna look this up in a moment. Hang on.
That is unlikely.
Yep. Sorry, I have some filling in duties to do today. So shout out to my boy Julian Hodgson. Jules, I know you're watching. How you doing? Peter, are you researching Andrei Sokolov against Kramnik, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I became very curious.
No, but you better start with checking Wikipedia. It could be another.
No. This is where I went. Yeah, I'm checking the Wikipedia article. It's actually in English, guys. It's not the Russian article, so you can check it for yourselves. And honestly, that example doesn't really. It feels like it doesn't belong with the others because it's just, like it's an exchange sacrifice for very obvious, very immediate compensation compared to, let's say, the Petrosian sacrifices. It's a lot easier to imagine making this move in a game.
Wise Casino is saying Jan Peter and team. Alireza seems to struggle more against Caruana and Ding. Why? Well, they've only played one game before today, Caruana and Alireza. I don't know, this match, the tournament hasn't gone his way, so I'm not sure how many conclusions we can draw for the future, no?
He's actually a little bit better in this game. It's a bit of a pity that the match is going so poorly for him, because even if he was on -1 right now, you would feel that maybe he can put on some pressure for Fabio. Maybe it's not that much because the king is cut off, but structurally, you kind of enjoy this with white, right?
But I'm not sure I'm in love of his knight c4 move. I think rook d1 immediately was more natural and to keep all the jumps. You have 4 jumps basically, yeah, b3, c4, e4, f3. And
yeah, I agree.
Because now he had to retreat with the knight just 2 moves later.
Yeah, but I think once again, it's very much an indication of how he is feeling right now, because it does feel like a bit of a lazy autopilot move, knight c4, and he doesn't actually have as much time as I thought, but still. Yeah, now Fabio actually generated concrete counterplay with knight a4. Knight c4, knight b6 we repeat, and rook b1 is not a move you would like to make generally. And moving the b pawn creates targets, and black could even maybe think about going knight b2, knight d3 right now.
I think he definitely does.
Yeah, and then we actually go back to c4 and we create a threat of rook d1 maybe, and we hope. But yeah, with bishop c5 will be quite awkward there.
Yeah, but b3 you have knight b2, right?
This happened here. b3 is on the board, knight b2, and I guess this is what we're talking about.
There is maybe an interesting line. Knight c4, bishop c5, f3, knight f2. And suddenly there might be no defense. Rook e1.
Maybe.
Shit.
Escaping. That's very cute. What was that? Some Kasparov game, no? Piquet Kasparov was some knight h1?
Piquet Kasparov, but it was the other way around. There was a pinned rook on f2, black had queen on a7, and he played knight g3, h1.
Yeah.
But it was already completely winning for black. So.
Fabi decided not to engage. He said, okay, I was just kidding, and went back to b6.
Yeah, but it seems like white completely lost the plot, no?
White?
No, I mean...
Yeah, but now after knight f3, I tend to like it for white again, no? I mean...
Yeah, but it's like white lost several tempos, I think. No, maybe, I mean, he's still pressing, but it's now not a big deal, I think.
Yeah, I actually think that, getting the pawns to b3 and a4 should favor Alireza here, because he no longer has to worry about them, and also they restrict some of the black knight jumps. And for instance, now after rook c1, it's not that easy to nominate a comfortable move for Alireza. Knight d5, rook c5 seems annoying, and allowing rook c7 also seems...
But knight d5, rook c5, rook d6.
Yeah, now we can maybe start bringing the king in. but maybe it doesn't do very much.
But I will play g5 now. I don't know. I mean, to me, it feels like it was a very considerable advantage for white, and now it's...
We'll revisit it, but game 4 in Magnus Carlsen versus Maxime Vachier-Lagrave has started. Carlsen up 2-1, and MVL has to win with the white pieces.
He's just humiliating the guys. I mean, against Caruana, he played bishop c5 Spanish. Now against Maxime, he plays both Grunfeld and Slav.
He likes to show people that he can play their openings. And Quincy too. MVL is saying, I've watched these Firouzja games. I'm ready to go. No one's listening to Daniil and Peter, who plays g6.
Yeah, but I think now Magnus is trying to to get those games and to figure out what was played.
Probably not allowed.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of an illegal situation.
Yeah, so dc4 was the first game, e6 the second. Commentary is rooting for g6. See what he does.
But actually, Firouzja was much better in game 1 against Caruana. I mean, he made a very strange decision at one point.
Yeah, you mean out of the opening or later on?
Even a bit later. I mean, he was worse first, but I mean, at least.
Yeah, you mean when he took on b5, he could play some bishop a4, yeah? I mean,
any move, not just anywhere. I mean, a4, d3, just any other move. Okay, but rook b4, of course, is a blunder for black. Rook take b4, yeah?
Yeah.
You just play some move, but I mean, after he did this, any move on move 23, white has very nice position.
Yeah, sure. I think we have mentioned it actually. Yeah.
Yeah, Daniil mentioned it. And okay, MVL does not play e4.
DC Queen c4, recapturing the pawn. Daniil, have you ever done that? They take on c4, you recapture?
Yeah, I played it against Duda, but I think I started with 4 queen b3 to avoid g6.
Okay. Here, this looks forced.
More forced, at least, yeah.
Now, this is all theory, bishop f5 or bishop g4. I guess you can play g6 still, but would be strange timing.
Yeah, those two moves are obviously very, very difficult different in concept, because bishop g4 aims to sort of make an immediate equality by playing knight b7 and often taking on f3 and going e5. And bishop f5 is a much slower game in general. Yeah,
and white goes knight c3, g3, and so on.
Yeah,
there was some fun lines on this bishop g4. No, I'm not sure if they still play these.
Yeah, knight c3, knight b7, e4, bishop f3, gf e5.
e5 immediately.
You can start with e5, I know. Yeah. How was this queen sacrifice that I'm trying to show?
I know what you're talking about, actually. Yeah, I've looked at this.
Yeah, exactly.
How does this go?
Knight h5, bishop d2 now, yeah, and queen d2. No?
Ah, yeah, exactly. That's nice.
Or no.
I'm not sure that's the line, but it's something like this.
No, you have to include f4. I think some move in f4, but which move
Like you play bishop c5 first, maybe.
Yeah, bishop c5, bishop d2, knight h5, f4, queen g2, something like that.
Yep, that seems like it. Yeah. Anyway, not very relevant, but this is a fun little line.
Ah, Daniil, this is a position you've seen before in your life.
yeah, I think I played it against Turov, right? I mean, okay.
Yeah, you played it against Turov, and I was very impressed. And I tried. Actually, this is something I tried checking for myself. I have a feeling probably Turov did not play all the best moves in this position.
I have this on the board.
Normally, when you lose with white, it means you made a mistake.
I don't understand though, with all the advocating for g6 that we've already done. What's the upside of going DC and then g6? He was just hoping for DC e4, or what's the point?
Maybe, yeah, maybe he was. And this is actually still Daniil's game against Turov, and this is already a little bit surprising because, believe it or not, queen c2 is not the only square this queen can go to.
I'm starting to think Magnus has access to Daniil's games or something.
Yeah, hard to believe, actually.
Yeah, the game
very
continued
direct.
knight c3, knight c6, dc5, b4, knight b5, bishop e4, I think you played or something, yeah. Or queen a5 and something.
When Peter knows that much about any line, I'm always very suspicious immediately.
Yeah,
What's going on
definitely.
with Peter?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, no, but I was so impressed by how effortlessly Daniil won that game that I actually did spend some time checking.
Yeah, we should mention that this b5 is not exactly the main plan in these positions. No.
Bishop f5 is still by far the most popular move in this position, followed by knight b7.
Yeah, but I mean, it is not completely lost for Vachier. Yeah, I mean, it kind of
no. But I think it is possible to pause at least some problems.
No, I mean, some problems is probably an understatement, but yeah.
So white is still okay?
White is probably somewhat better even here, but honestly, like, I'm regretting.
C3 looks nice, no? C3, no?
C3.
I don't know. Yeah, the machine does suggest some alternatives to queen c2 for sure.
I don't
You're
know.
strong players and your machines.
Just to avoid attacks.
Knight c3 on the board.
Yeah, still continuing to follow the trendsetters.
By the way, we should note that Magnus is doubly trolling him. No, he plays the Slav and the Grunfeld in the same game against Maxim.
Yeah,
impressive.
Yeah, that's really a good troll in progress right now.
Also, I mean, still, it's kind of strange to, you know, to name some decent openings after some, you know, people of our time. Yeah, I mean, it's not that Grunfeld is exactly Svidler's opening or MVL's opening or I don't know, whatever. So I mean, is it so? Would you, Sasha, for instance, if someone would play, I don't know, neither from Grunfeld against you, would you even think that it's trolling, or you just think it's just some normal openings happening and that's it?
Yeah, of course, it's not. But I mean, Bishop c5 is a little bit special to play.
Yeah, Bishop c5 is some. So I mean, it becomes more fun when the line is kind of suspicious. Yeah, I mean, and if the line is really bad, then it's real fun. So let's say, for instance, if MVL would play some other kind today, that would be really funny. But yeah, but when you just play some normal openings that your opponent has played as well, I mean, it's not such a joke. Yeah?
No, of course. Let's say when Nepomniachtchi plays against Vachier-Lagrave, there is just no choice for them. Yeah, it's either or neither. So
well, as it turns out, now there is a choice. Yeah, now there are some other openings. There's the French and the Slav. And
my theory, though, and I have zero evidence on this, is that Maxim listened to all the criticism that he only plays the same opening every game, but not by studying these new openings, but just by starting to play them. I think he's sort of learning by doing, which so far has been working well.
Well, I mean, he used to play Slav. Yeah, I mean, let's be serious. I think he used to play Slav like 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, he played it in classical games many times. So
many times.
Yeah, he had this fantastic idea against Knight f3, e3 in the World Cup in Tromsø. He several times played Bishop g4, h3, Bishop f5.
Ah, yeah. That was brought up on the show earlier.
Yeah, it's nice to hear the echo in here. It's
Knight h4 played.
Very nice audio effects in the studio today.
What do you do? Do you have to go back?
Knight d4. I think the problem is knight f5 and then e3 without taking on a8. Otherwise, it would be maybe even somewhat attractive, but e3 I think destroys this idea. So I think we go bishop d7. There is also maybe some crazier ideas, but yeah, I don't know.
What's crazy here? I don't even. I mean, I failed to come up with a move like c takes d4. Or?
Yeah, I was wondering about c takes d4, but it shouldn't work.
Why?
Good question, but yeah, I thought that position exchange down will not eventually be good enough, like knight f5, bishop a8. But maybe it is, because bc3 knight f4 94 is actually more than a little awkward. Maybe it's not that bad.
Yeah, there was also some bishop h3 probably, yeah. I mean, which is completely random, but it would have a chance. Or maybe
We
not.
can start with knight f5, I think. Like if we want to get this, we can start with knight f5.
By the way, briefly switching back to the other game, because I was curious, did Alireza trap his rook, or did he make progress, or neither?
I think both of them. He made progress, but maybe his rook is in danger.
Yeah, but I think he was kind of lost at some point.
Was he?
Well, I mean, it looked really bad to me, to be honest. But yeah, around here, for instance, it looks just, I don't know.
Rook d4 is a clever idea, though, to activate your rook when it seemed like it couldn't be activated.
Yeah,
also
but why
must win for Alireza?
Yeah, but why do you, like, as black, why do you need to force white to bring his king from f1 to f5 is not clear to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And now I think we just go bishop h6, take on d8, take on g5. We're much better with white, right? Maybe winning.
Well, according to Jan's scale, we are like 2 pawns up, yeah? 2 point something.
Let's count. No, just half a pawn so far. If we take this one, then it's 1.5 pawns. Yeah. Rook is 5. Yeah.
He goes knight d4, which I didn't see, but it also looks very, very strong actually. Yeah, seems kind of conclusive actually.
King b7. What's the
knight
trick?
c6?
Just wins. Yeah.
Yeah, knight 6, knight d8, and then we do all the same, but we have two light pieces against it instead of one.
But if knight e7 check, what was your plan?
And Faviv seemingly blundered knight e6 check, or what happened there?
Took and resigns. Wow, comeback for Alireza.
So yeah, the speech I gave about him having no shot in this match is.
Yeah. So the idea was actually cool. So knight e7 check, he wanted king e6 probably. That is actually cool.
And then bishop b5 check, and we pick up.
Yeah,
we pick up the king actually, not the bishop on d8. We just give
very
mate.
nice.
What's black's move here? Just
knight c8, bishop b5.
Got it.
Very nice.
Yeah, kind of helpmate in 3.
So Alireza is still in with the shot.
Everything can happen. I mean, of course, he's an underdog to save the match, but
yeah.
Well, he must win with black on demand. It's not easy.
Yeah, but I actually don't get, let's say, before the match, is it that obvious to you guys that Alireza is an underdog in?
I think I took Alireza in the fantasy. I think in the fantasy it was 9 points.
I took Caruana. It was equal points for each. I thought it wasn't that close with the way the tournament has been going.
Yeah, but Caruana could have lost pretty much all the matches. Yeah, I mean it's.
I think everyone except Magnus could have lost all matches. No? I mean, the way the matches were going.
Yeah, but Caruana had, let's say, bigger chances. Yeah, so like against Nepo, he could be like 3-0 down. Then he lost against Magnus, and then he.
Against Ding, it was this miracle finish. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I mean, okay. Well, against Ding, it was like 2-1 down. Yeah, and then he. Yeah,
he won a position where at some point he was completely lost mathematically, but that was a very miraculous idea that Ding has missed. So what's happening here? He did play cd4, and then he played rook c8 in this position, and white can win a pawn. Well, if white wants to win a pawn, it's only one way, but black gets, I guess, a lot of compensation there, yeah? Queen d4, no, knight d4, rook d6, you probably don't survive, right? So you take with the queen, and I'm wondering if even something like knight or a6 I was calculating. I think a6 was what I was trying to figure out.
I think black is just fantastic.
Yeah, a6 forces the queen trade, and after knight c3, I'm playing knight e4. And Yeah, at the very least, black is no. Probably black is not better
worse,
because
yeah.
takes bishop g5. Otherwise, maybe black could have been better. But takes bishop g5, I think, makes very sure that. Yeah, rook d1 I missed. Maybe rook d1 is also pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, anyway, you could try something more ambitious. Yeah, I mean,
Other moves,
yeah, it's not exactly forced.
Anyway,
I mean, knight e4 is possible. Whatever.
Yeah, but I have a feeling MVL has to go for this because if he takes on b5 with the bishop now after dc3, knight e4, I think he has like 0 winning chances, right? The knight will be just too strong on c3.
if I go bishop b7, you just attack the guy again. Yeah, rook b8.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He does go knight b5. Yeah, I don't think he has a choice. Sadly, the question is, can he take on okay, not anymore. It's already gone. But I was wondering if maybe he could somehow make knight takes a7 work, and then a4 next move. If you kind of trap the knight, I wanted to go a4.
Yeah. He took on d4.
Yeah, he did take on d4, and now I think if Magnus needs more than a draw, there's a very large number of moves he can play. But because he only really needs a draw in this position, I think some kind of a version of a queen trade here should be.
Yeah, but queen e5 is also.
Yeah, queen e5 looks very interesting.
No, I mean, it's also a decent move even if you're trying to force a draw. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's still very straightforward, though.
Also, Sasha has the theory that Magnus is mainly trying to make every match as interesting as possible. So he's not gonna force a draw, no?
Yeah.
Ah, but he played a6.
He does play a6. I mean, knight a3, knight a4, knight e4 maybe you're slightly worse. So you have to go to c3, I think. Whoa, okay.
Wow. a6 is great fun.
No, but I think Maxim just given up already. Just judging by the speed of his last moves.
Let's read their body language. Yeah, he looks broken, tired, upset.
No, now he played king g2. He played king g2, and now even rook takes c1 isn't like an immediate draw we want.
Why take a? No.
Well, I think I always win this exchange back, and I'm not even remotely worse, right?
Yeah, but why do you need it as black? I mean,
no, you don't. I think something like rook b8 might also be completely fine, or I don't know. What move do you like? Because white will at some point I will play, I don't know, f3, rook b1 in some order, and start hoping to play b3 and.
Yeah.
I think he would have played rook b1 on the previous move, but knight g2 is an immediate draw, which is why he played king g2 to have rook b1, knight g2, rook d1.
But knight g2, how do you make a draw with white after king b1, rook b1, knight
g2? Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, maybe there is no immediate draw even. But I mean, the big point is rook d1, knight f3 check, of course, just to show why you need the king on g2.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I think Magnus is just trying to figure out if he can find something even more efficient than rook takes c1, because rook takes c1 does seem to be.
No, I mean, you can try like you can play some random move like, I don't know, e6, f3, and you go knight d2, rook d1, rook c to d6, and you sort of pretend you have domination. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't disagree.
No, so so it's f3, not h3. Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, obviously, I will not play knight d2. But then, yeah, after knight d2, rook d1, rook d6, it's knight c2, and I mean, it's a game again. Yeah, I mean, if I will skip like 10 moves, I can
knight c4 now. Yeah, knight c4.
I can be slightly worse.
Yeah, knight c4 probably solves the problems. But yeah, Magnus eventually decides not to be too fanciful here. Just goes rook takes c1, bishop takes b2, and.
No, but also, how exactly do you make a draw with white here?
Knight c4. White is not worse, but.
Yeah, but knight c4 takes, and some rook.
No,
C2.
white is completely fine, but like, yeah, rook c8, rook c2, and
Yeah, but then I have some some knight c3 in the end, right? So you can't play knight c3 yet. I mean, I play king g7 and sort of pretend.
f3.
Yeah, but then I play knight d6, take and run.
Nah,
And if I'm Magnus, I win 1 out of 10. I don't know.
nah, I don't buy it.
Round for Maxim is he has to win. It's down to 1. Yeah, Magnus is good at this.
Yeah, I think if you want to play for a win here with white, but the thing is, it just doesn't work at all on a tactical level. You play rook cd1, you give up the knight, you play rook d5, and you hope somehow that you win this pawn on a6, but you just don't, right? You know, you probably don't even win that position if you actually get to win the pawn on a6, but there you can imagine winning this with white.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
But yeah, but black is just not going to allow it. And he went with knight b1, which is, yeah, a version. But now after rook b8, I think black is slightly better, no? Well, I mean,
Yeah, that was my original idea, so this is not exactly equal.
yeah, that's a weird choice because you're not gonna win a slightly worse position against Magnus very often.
So far, so far this tournament is more like Magnus Carlsen Triumphant instead of Invitational. Because
Yeah,
it marches on.
Doesn't appear to be very close so far.
And again, it's not really a surprise that he's good at this format. No?
So yeah, so far it doesn't really matter though. So I mean, it's only you only need to make it to top 4, yeah. I mean, so there is no difference between first place and fourth place. Oh, there is some.
But there is a big difference between place 4 and place 3.
Yeah, that's a
No, I think not, because I think the rules are whoever finishes first in the qualifier can choose their opponent for the semifinals.
Ah.
And if who we suspect will finish first finishes first, I'm not sure he's gonna choose number 4 because he likes being.
And there appears to be a clarification on this, that they've gone back to the usual 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3.
They didn't do that? Okay, then I'm wrong. Apologies. It's just 1 versus 4. Yeah, like I knew that idea was being discussed, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I've also heard it mentioned, but looks like it didn't actually happen in the end.
Yeah, but still, Sasha, what was your point? You mean if you finish 4th, then it's quite likely that you'll play Magnus, yeah?
Yes, of course.
No, I mean, if you want to win the whole thing, you will have to play Magnus anyway, yeah? And...
Yes, but it's better to beat him in the finals.
Well, if you are sure you'll beat him, I tend to agree.
It's like these basketball discussions, no? If Houston wants to face the Warriors in round 2 or round 3.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Rook c3 played.
Yeah, we go knight d5, e6, and we start pushing the h-pawn, I guess, right? h5, h4. If white goes h4 himself, we play f4. There's just there's nothing going on here for white. You can even start with h4.
Maxim wins this.